One of the greatest phrases of all time. Welcome to a football Friday. I mean, football Friday. Oh, by the way, this may get a little bumpy today. May get a little bumpy. Okay, just to keep everybody abreast of things. Oh, and by the way, we want to thank our friends at BetUS for powering us here for the next 4 hours. We appreciate you going over to the website. And by the way, you might want to take the Giants and the number. Big Sills hooked you up last week. Take the Browns and the number. How you doing? Made some money if you listen to Big Sills. But then again, most of you, it takes a little bit of time before you come to your senses and understanding on what we bring to the table here. Also, today, our boy Xander Krause is going to join us at 3:30, and then the Dallas Cowboys' greatest defensive coordinator all time, who worked with Vic Fangio in Chicago, Dave Wannstedt, will join us. We will talk to the three-time Super Bowl champion coordinator, get his take. Is it players or scheme? You guys keep saying that to me. Sills, Vic's scheme sucks. Why'd you hire him? Dave said it flat out. By the way, let me ask you something here before we continue. How many people think Vic Fangio's scheme is one of the reasons why the Philadelphia Eagle defense is a bottom 5 defense? How many people think that? I'm going to give you an absolute lesson here on a comment that many of you make. Pasta says no, not me. Abe says me. By the way, I do, says Crowley. Super chats go to the top. Please hit the like button. Part of it, 60% is players. Spinbad, says I do. Okay. Well, tell me this, Spinbad. Let me throw this at, let me grab Spinbad here. He thinks it's Vic Fangio's scheme. Hey, Vic, Dave Wannstedt was 1-15 with the Dallas Cowboys. They ran the same defense that they won 3 Super Bowls with. How could that be the scheme? They ran the same scheme when they were 1-15. And then 2 years later, they started their run of winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. How could it be scheme? They did the same stuff. Dave was there the entire time. He won 3 Super Bowls as the coordinator of that team. Spinbad says this. Well, then it's not scheme, it's players. The scheme that Vic Fangio runs, it's not the problem. This is a player problem. You're not good enough. And you're not mature enough yet with some of your younger players. It's players. This is Howie. Howie hasn't tooled the defensive side of the football good enough. It's players. Think about what I just said to you. Wannstedt's the greatest coordinator in Cowboy history defensively, and that includes Ernie Stautner. Well, 3 years later, they would win a Super Bowl with the same exact defense. I know I ran that defense. Dave's going to join us at 4:30, by the way. Crosby wants out. Can we send Huff, Smith, top pick? I know this is fantasy, but wishful thinking. Sean, those players aren't good enough for Max Crosby. You can't unload your garbage in a first-round pick for an elite player. Who in their right mind would want Bryce Huff, who sucks, Nolan Smith, who sucks? I'll take the 1. But you offered me nothing but a 1 in that. Those guys aren't good players. They're marginal players. That's not good enough for Max Crosby. The 1, now we're talking. You're trying to unload contract and a bad pick to me? I don't have an interest in that. I don't have an interest. I get it. You want to get the better end of the deal. You want the better player, but that's not going to cut it. Genuine request for insight. Can a defense that plays with so much cushion ever generate a lot of INTs? Well, wait a minute. Relative. Are you an Eagle fan? What up, Maniac? Please hit the like button. By the way, we'll give you our spin on what we think happens in this Giants game on Sunday. Relative, are you an Eagle fan? You guys answer your own questions sometimes. Seals, can Devontae Adams save my Jets? It's going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot better. Oh, see a fan. Okay. Relative. You had a guy on your football team in 2022 in Philadelphia that led the NFL in turnovers. And you had 70 sacks. You're asking me, can you generate turnovers and play and get big plays on that side of the ball? Well, you did in 22 because you got pressure. Pressure solves all your issues. Pressure and run stopping. You can't do either. I don't care what your secondary looks like. Gainer ran the same scheme at 22 and worked. I don't like it, but it works. Vic doesn't have players for it. No presence hire for D-line and linebackers suck. Absolutely, that's the factor, Anthony. This is a player issue. This is not a scheme issue. Dave told you this, okay? 3 months ago, and he's going to reiterate it today. I'm very sure of it. This is nothing to do with a scheme. If you generate pressure and you can stop the run effectively. By the way, remember something about that 2022 team. They were what, 16th, 15th in stopping the run? They weren't exceptional, but they were in the middle of the road. That's all you have to be, is in the middle of the road and get pressure. Your secondary is going to look good. By the way, you had two linebackers that were over 100 tackles that year, and Kaiser White and TJ Edwards. I know many of you can't stand Kaiser White, but fuck, you haven't replaced that guy yet in 2 years. You haven't had a player play like that. Kaiser was exceptional for you, and the other guy had 160 tackles. You had two guys in the middle of your defense that had 300 tackles in 22. You've never replaced that. Howie's never replaced that. And get this, the economics were cheap for those guys. They were both making 1.5. Between those two linebackers that had 300 tackles between them, they made $3 million. Well, what happened? Edwards goes to Chicago, signs a $7 million deal. White goes to Arizona and signs a $7 million annual deal. You didn't want to pay it. And you're paying for it now. You're paying for that now in shitty picks on defense. Throw in another pick and pay Price a piece of Huff's salary. Just want Howie to correct this. Sean, that's smart thinking. We'll pick up 60% of his contract this year. Then you put him in situational pass rushing out with the Raiders. Maybe Antonio can figure out what to do. I don't know. That's not – it's better right there. You sweetened the deal up for me. Okay? He's very young and he's good and I like him. Yes. The scheme also worked in 22 because the offense started games on fire, right? Long sustained drives, 14-play drives. You did about 4 of them in a game. You had a sequence of drives like that and pretty much put teams to sleep. That's correct. Teams had to pass to catch up. Absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Thank you very much, Anthony, for the super chat. My man Xander, can't wait to rip that fire. Thanks for that, man. Love this channel. Hey, Maniac, we love you, brother. Been with us since day one. Hate fucking losing. Hate it too, dude. Can't stand losing. Okay? Dude, it didn't work. Get this. He says in 22 it didn't work, and he got to a Super Bowl, and he had the number 2 pass defense in the NFL, and he had a guy who led the NFL in turnovers and interceptions, and he had 70 sacks. Didn't fucking work? Are you crazy? What didn't you like about that 22 defense? What, the 70 sacks? The high turnovers? The 2 linebackers in the middle? 4 guys with double-digit sacks? What possibly couldn't you have loved about that 22 defense and saying that it didn't work? Hardgrave, Graham, Sweat, Graham, Sweat, Hardgrave, Reddick, all double-digit sacks. Fletcher had 7. How are you saying it didn't work? Dude, they what? Dude, they were number 2 in defense. Still lost the Super Bowl. I'm not fucking talking about winning the Super Bowl. I'm talking about you having one of the better defenses in the league. Not talking about that. I'm talking about you having a good defense. Are you under the guys that you didn't have a good defense in 22? Whatever. Not debating with idiots who think you didn't have 70 sacks, high turnovers, 2 inside linebackers that were competent. I'm not debating that. It's dumb. I'm talking to idiots who don't think that. Sills, why do the Eagles draft running backs and try to change them into statues? Isn't that ridiculous? Dude, they're getting away from running the ball. They don't want that identity anymore. They don't want to run the ball. They ran the ball with Barkley out of necessity because of injuries. Okay? That elite 22D made Jalen better too. I think it worked both hands. I think Jalen made them better, and they made Jalen better. Absolutely. No, you're right. It sucked. That defense gave up 7 points in the playoffs to the Giants and Niners. Coyote, don't talk to idiots that will try to tell you that the football team in 22 didn't have a good defense. They'll try to squeeze a narrative into a fucking anthole if they can. That was a good defense, man. I mean, it was because of pressure. That's why. Okay? Thank you, Crowley. Tell me the last team that won a Super Bowl under a Vic type scheme, it didn't work. We have up 40 points to a guy that couldn't even walk. This guy's trying to tell you that he gave up 40 points to Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes beat you guys by 3 points, okay? Crowley, I don't give a fuck what you think. That 22 defense was an elite defensive group. I can't remember where I saw a team with 4 pass rushers with double digits and a guy who led the NFL in turnovers. You're out of your mind, guy. Whatever. Gave up 40 to Mahomes. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to a guy who's a generational player. I'm not debating this. I'm absolutely not going to debate that. Your defenses today stink. And they've gotten worse because why? You haven't replaced the people. You haven't replaced Epps yet. Hey, by the way, do you think you've replaced Marcus Epps? Do you think you've replaced TJ Edwards? Have you replaced Javon Hargrave? Did you? I don't think you have. I mean, right? Have you replaced Hargrave? Reddick? Look at what you haven't replaced. Think about it. You haven't replaced Reddick, Hargrave, Edwards, White, and Epps. Those are some of your leading tacklers in 22. You haven't replaced them. Okay? You haven't replaced any of those guys. So how can it be scheme? That's right. Good one, too. Good one, too, Jonathan. And you lost Fletcher. So you haven't replaced Fletcher Cox, Epps, White, Edwards, Hardgrave, and Reddick. 6 starters on your 11. And the other guys you have in there are below average players. Where in the world are you retooling your defense? Cooper DeJean is good. I don't know that yet. Many of you jumped the gun when it comes to Jalen Hurts. We'll see. Quinyon Mitchell looks good. Looks good. There's a lot to like there. By the way, super chats go to the top. So these folks, nuts, Spags' defense didn't work with the Rams, but did with the Giants and Chiefs. You need talent to make it work. That's a great take. And I appreciate that super chat. That's exactly correct. And Sean, to your point, with Wannstedt coming on at 4:30, Dave Wannstedt ran the same exact defense when they were 1-15 in Dallas, when they ended up going on and winning 3 straight Super Bowls, or 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. They didn't change anything. They just added better players. The scheme didn't change. They ran that same scheme at Miami. That was the Miami Hurricane defense. Dave will tell you this. Nothing changed. Players changed. Every football team is about Jimmys and Joes. And some of you guys go, hey, by the way, Xander Krause said something yesterday, and I'm going to put this out there to you. Xander thinks that this is the Jalen Hurts offense. Well, if that's the case, he sucks as a coordinator, and he can't see the game. Because if you're telling me that that guy now is taking over the responsibilities of the offense, he is not qualified. How could a guy who's not a passer and wasn't drafted as a passer, doesn't really know how to read defenses, be the coordinator or the architect of a Jalen Hurts offense? That guy needs guidance. Lamar Jackson needs guidance in the passing game. He didn't come into the NFL as a premier passer. That's why they've got multiple people around him teaching him how to progress read. And also, they stick to the RPO and they don't climb out of that RPO. They stick to what they are, unless, unfortunately, they play the Chiefs. Okay? No one would ever. By the way, he's having a great passing stretch right now. Will that last with Lamar Jackson? I don't know. Lamar came into the NFL as an RPO guy, and he's remained that in Baltimore. Jalen Hurts came in as an RPO guy, and he has not remained that. And if you're telling me, and I'm going to go along with Xander here, that that's the Jalen Hurts offense, he's not qualified to have his own offense, especially as a passer. But if you want to give Jalen Hurts his own offense at 22, he's totally qualified for that. He's not qualified to run a pro-style offense. Guy could barely read blitzes. I mean, he doesn't throw across the middle. Here's the 2 things. Would you not agree with this take? Here's the 2 things that you can always count on in a game where Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. He'll roll right, and he won't throw across the middle. Well, force him left. Make him throw across the middle. That's why the turnovers pick up. Every time he tries to throw across the middle, he throws turnovers. Eagles know this. Coaches know this. That's why they don't design plays to go across the middle. Okay? Sales, watching Kurt Warner's video, there was plenty of opportunities for him to pass down the middle, never did. He doesn't want to do it because he knows he's not qualified to throw across the – dude, only elite quarterbacks throw across the middle of the football field. He can't. He can't. Regardless, we still get – I don't care. Great. Sure. Whatever. Okay? Whatever. Hey, M. Reyes says this is a false narrative that Hurts doesn't throw across the middle of the field. And every time he does, he has turnovers and he rolls right. That's a false narrative? He doesn't watch a game then. And he doesn't watch a Jalen Hurts football game. Hurts rolls right and doesn't throw across the middle. He throws to two guys, said it in his press conference that he's more comfortable with those two men than anyone else. How is that a false narrative? Those are his words. No, come on, Forrest. What happened in 22? 22's offense has nothing remotely close to what he's doing now. That's what's happened. What exactly are you talking about? Forrest, I know you watch football games. There's nothing he does today that he did in 22. There's nothing. Get this. Once again, is this a false narrative that he doesn't throw across the middle and that he rolls right? I don't give a fuck about situational plays. I'm asking you. By the way, he tried to throw across the middle, had 2 turnovers. Didn't throw across the middle last week, had no turnovers. That's not a false narrative. That's reality. Ironic that we don't replace the stars on defense, change the offensive scheme to the quarterback's weaknesses. They don't want to run the ball. I don't get that either. Then wonder why he's regressing. Dude, Eagle, Hurts is not regressing. They're coaching him wrong. They're coaching him wrong. He's not regressing. He's a different dude now. Jalen at 22 was talking more throws to receivers. Behind the first down line, mainly either hitches, flats, screen plays under Shane Steichen. Since then, it's never been the same. It's not the same. I mean, people think today, or get this, here's your false narrative. Let's use an M. Reyes word. Here's your false narrative. That Hurts will ever be a passing pocket passer. And that's how you're going to win a game or a Super Bowl. That's a false narrative. That's absolutely a false narrative. Good take, Prince. Reminds me of Phillip Rivers' offense from San Diego 10 years ago. Yeah, well, Rivers would throw across the middle. Phillip Rivers is going to Hall of Fame. Did you hear Nick's presser earlier today? Still hard to listen to the guy. I'm actually starting to tune that guy out. Okay? You said the same thing about Lamar, and Lamar beat your boy Burrow in a shootout, Sills. Threw for 350 yards. I just got through saying, Andres, that he is in a great stretch right now. Here's a guy that's never thrown for more than 3,700 yards in his entire career. Even the year he led the NFL in touchdown passes, he doesn't put up big numbers. Never has. But why do you think now that the passing game is opening up like it did in 22 for – by the way, his name is Derrick Henry. You got to play closer to the line of scrimmage, Andreas, because why? You can't play off the ball when you have Derrick Henry back there. This guy's he's 6'4". You play off the ball, he can fall forward for 3 yards. Derrick Henry's on pace for 2,000 rushing yards this year. Why do you think the passing lanes are open? Why? Like in 22. Because the Eagles had an electric passing game in 22. Electric. The running game was more electric than the passing game. I feared the running game more. Quarterback was electric. Now he's not. And you go into every game making it a 60-minute game. This will be a 60-minute football game on Sunday. Don't kid yourself. This is not, by the way, this will not be a big time. You're not blowing anybody out. You know why? You can't. Your offense is too inconsistent. And your defense, we're going to talk about it here. And your defense last week was not any kind of optimism. The Browns are not optimism. When you beat a good football team, that's optimism. When good football teams run the ball down your throat, and I wouldn't consider the Bucs a great team. They're playing really well right now. But you can't beat the Bucs. The Bucs blow you out. I know that you don't want to hear this, but the Bucs blow you out. In 8 quarters of football, you've never been in a game with them. In the last 2 8 quarters with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've blown you out. Okay? They've totally blown you out. We're going to look at what happens here on Sunday. I got a question for you here. Also, too, look at week 7 of the National Football League. Let me ask you this about Nick Sirianni going into the game. How many people in here believe that the Eagle players? I hear Xander tell me all the time that John says that the players really love Nick Sirianni. And they enjoy being around him. Do you believe that? Do you believe they enjoy being around Nick? Absolutely not. Okay. He believes that the players like him. Okay. Well, no excuses. Go win one for your coach then. Go win one for your coach on Sunday. Okay? Go win one for your coach if you love him so much. Because last year you didn't show it. You loved him and respected him. You fucking fell apart like you were a sunken ship. Okay, right? Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Well, win a game. Okay. End up going to the Super Bowl. What happened last year? Did they enjoy playing for him last year too? How come the players didn't stand up for him and win a game for him down the stretch? You were fighting for home field advantage, M. Reyes. And you were also fighting for the NFC East. How come they didn't fight for him? How come the players didn't fight for him? Yeah, Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox. How come they didn't fight for him then? They fought for him going to the Super Bowl, but they didn't fight for him last year? Oh, I see. When things are going well, they fight for him. When things go south, they escape him. Is that right? Interesting how you look at things. When I need you the most, when shit's going sideways, I don't want to play for you. But when things are going great, I really like the guy. Is that what you're telling me? Wow. What kind of team do you have actually then? If your team won't fight for you when they need you the most, when you're struggling. I need you when we're struggling, not when things are going great. I need you to back me when shit's hitting the fan. M. Reyes goes, they loved him. They went to the Super Bowl. What happened last year when they fell apart? Jason Kelce wasn't fighting for him. Oh. It was Brian Johnson's fault. He played for Steichen during the Super Bowl year. Oh. Out on Brian Johnson. Yeah, that's it. The coach that you fired, who looked better, his offense last year at this point of the season when you were undefeated than this offense this year. M. Reyes, let me ask you something here. Brian Johnson's offense, first 5 games of the year versus Kellen Moore's first 5 games of the year. What offense looks better? The quarterback, too. Does the quarterback look better 5 years into this year or 5 games into this year? Or 5 games last? Well, was it Sirianni last year? Sirianni was undefeated first 5 games. I'm confused. They were 5-0 last year with Sirianni and Brian Johnson. That's not an assumption. They were 5-0 last year. What's the assumption? They were better last year offensively. Or how about this? We'll take it back because the players were missing. The quarterback was better. How come they're not better now? Wait, Brian Johnson sucks so bad. They started 10-1. Okay, I'm not getting it. Brian Johnson. If they won in 22, guys, can I call you a hater? You picked them. I did. I picked them to go to Super Bowl. Because Sills, they lost both coordinators and players that had made it to the Super Bowl in 23. They lost 75% of that. Then the quarterback got paid. They couldn't spend to reshape it correctly. Of course, they had brand new coordinators last year. Did they not? And they were 5-0. They had a first place schedule last year. They won the East the previous year in 22. They didn't have an easy schedule in 23. They won the East. How come they were 5-0 in the offense and the quarterback looked better? Shit, for the first half of the season, the quarterback and the offense looked better. How is this negative? It's a question. Wait a minute, Dennis. How is this fucking negative? No matter what the Eagles do, you still find I'm answering questions from you, asshole. For people that come in here and put up a narrative like M. Reyes and say, it was Brian Johnson. I'm answering them. If it's Brian Johnson had the football team started out at 5-0. What's different this year? That's negative? Holy shit, guy. Are you a sensitive ass bag? Give me a break, guy. Man up. Show me you got a pair. What a snowflake. Guy asked a fucking question. Okay? It was Brian Johnson. Well, if it was Brian Johnson, Johnson's offense and the quarterback were 5-0 last year. What's your fucking deal here? Negative? Why is the offense not look as good and the quarterback not look as good, snowflake? It's not negative. I'm answering people's questions in here. When someone asks a question and I think it's good content, I answer a question. I can't help it if they're asking bullshit questions. I didn't think that was. M. Reyes brought the good point up because everyone seemingly blamed Brian Johnson. How can you blame Brian Johnson when he got out to a 10-1 start? Holy shit, guy. You might want to melt the snowflakes around you, dude. You're so negative. Dude, this might not be a show for you. You might need to go to that non-listenable 97.5 and that other thing, that blowhorn for the Eagles, WIP, because that's more for you. I'm going to start putting a PSA and a public service announcement that if you can't handle it, this ain't for you. This ain't for you. Trust me, it ain't. By the way, M. Reyes agrees with me about 2% of the time. And he even comes in here and goes, okay, well, we don't shut anybody down. Holy cow, snowflake. Dude, honest to God, this ain't the show for you. Because if you think I'm going to wave fucking pom-poms around, you're out of your mind. Unlikable team, from the team goofball head coach to the team cockhold lackey Darius. Jesus. This is a pretty tough one here, boy. I tell you, like I said, man, that guy can't handle this. Quarterback is a glitched robot mute infected blow the team to smithereens. Jesus. I appreciate the super chat. Holy shit. Okay? I don't care about people talking shit as long as you can take it back. That's right. African Surf, he fucking gets it. He gets it. Brian Johnson is doing a great job in Washington. Not a pretty good job, a great job. Watch him and the Commanders smoke the Eagles twice this season. Robert, shit, Jaden Daniels is saying it without a doubt. The two influential people in getting him in the right place and having him in the right place are Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson. Says he's never had coaching like that before, and he won a Heisman Trophy at LSU. It ain't Brian Johnson, dog. It's the quarterback. It's the quarterback and the system that you want the quarterback to operate in. I love the Eagles. I'm SDA, but this team is not the same team and thus started last season with. Jalen sitting alone with no zero read, not excitement. It's his attitude sucked. I mean, I just think he's got a lot of voices that affect the play calling. But can you imagine Nick Sirianni's headset having all those assistant coaches all talking to Kellen Moore at once? That's why the fucking play comes in late. Should have gotten Cliff. Cliff Kingsbury was going to do things his way. And by the way, his way looks pretty good right now. Dude, I knew that was going to be one of the most important hires for assistant coach. I said it in the offseason. I said the hiring of Cliff Kingsbury will be one of the most significant moves that flew under the radar because everyone looked at him as a failure head coach in Arizona. How many coaches in Arizona have been great? None. Bruce Arians, okay? Bruce Arians, sure. Dennis Green, little. Here's the analogy. If they forced Big Sills to do a show like WIP, it wouldn't be as effective. This is a fantastic, absolutely true take. Here's the analogy. If they forced Big Sills to do a show like WIP, it wouldn't be as effective. Happy thus the results would be a poor pro. Here's how wait a minute. Dual threat. I'll show you how I would have to do a show. And they watch. Here's how I would have to do a show. I'll do 5 minutes for you here. If I was going to be asked, and I hope I don't bore you, on WIP or 97.5. You ready? Here. Great Football Friday. Hey, look, folks, I really appreciate you coming aboard here. Man, I'll tell you what, the Eagles on Sunday have a pretty tough test going up to New York. You know, it's one of those places up there that, you know, it's always a tough place to go up to MetLife. They've always battled going up there, but I really think the guys really were able to get, you know, a good bit of momentum coming out of that Cleveland Browns game. You know, hey, the defense showed up. The quarterback looked a lot better. There's no question about it that they probably got a good springboard off that game going up to New York. New York's not a very good team, but hey, let's do this. You know, don't take anybody lightly here because the defense on the other side, you know, I think they're coming along now and they're ahead of pace. But remember something here. They're so young still. Okay? They're so young. Remember here, the quarterback, you know, he's doing everything he can with the new system, the new coordinator. And you know what? He's growing. He's still an elite quarterback, but the guy is really growing along here, and he's growing with the new coordinators, even though it's kind of hard, you know, when you make those switch outs here. The defensive side, I think Vic really has a pretty tough task here with some of the new players. Holy shit, man. I can't go on. 5 minutes? No way. Fucking terrible. You have no idea what you're looking at then, and it's all lies. Defense is not ahead of pace. The quarterback is struggling. You are one-dimensional because you don't run the ball anymore. None of that's true. That's how you have to do those shows there. You can't be critical. And if you noticed, I didn't say anything about the head coach or I didn't say anything about the general manager because you'd be in the principal's office seconds after the show ended. I know. I have been. Okay? Shit, you know what would happen? Most of you that would go over listen to me if I was on IP, you would go like this. Sills, that's a completely different show. Yeah, you got to be. You can't put a regular show on any longer there. They won't allow it. Just like Jerry Jones said, I'll get someone else to replace you. Remember, that's Odyssey in Dallas too. That's Odyssey in Philly. WIP is Odyssey. What do you think? They won't replace the host if you're not going to kiss the team's ass? You had a guy that's accused of fondling a woman at a facility with the Phillies. They covered for him. You got a guy that ruined Dexter Jackson's career as an Eagle. They covered for him. I mean, let's be candid here. I mean, Dan, that sounded like the Eagles post-game show for the first 10 games minus Seth Joyner's take. Right? Ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. How the hell can you talk about your team correctly with a PR department up your ass? Hey, Tony, when you can figure that out, you let me know because I've been trying to figure that out for 34 years. I've been trying to figure that one out. Sills, to be honest, are we ever going to win a Super Bowl like we did in 17? Because it feels like no matter how much talent we have, it feels like we're behind. You and Angelo style is not for today's radio. You're dead on. Will you ever? Hey, let me ask you this. Who wrote that? Devontae. After Wentz went down, were you surprised you won a Super Bowl? Be honest. Were you surprised? Were you surprised that you won a Super Bowl in 17? How many people were surprised you won a Super Bowl against Brady and Belichick? Dave wasn't surprised when he lost Jason Peters, your starting quarterback, and your starting linebacker. Of course. Real wasn't. I was. I don't think anybody was not shocked that you won. Expectations going into 17. When did it build up? When did you guys start to think you could win a Super Bowl? Probably all the way up until Los Angeles. Do you not agree? Sam, what up, my friend? Please hit the like button, all. Wouldn't you agree? What was that? Game 13? All the way up until 13, you probably started picking the momentum up. Probably 4 weeks before that, you started going, this team might win a Super Bowl because Wentz is playing out of his ass. There's not a chance in hell you thought week 1 you were winning the Super Bowl. No way. Why would you? About what? Week 12? And after week 13, when Wentz got hurt in LA, there's not a chance in hell. I would say 95, 96% of you said the season's over because you lost your MVP candidate. You didn't think you were going to win. My point is that was a surprise victory. It's probably one of the biggest underdog Super Bowl wins in history. It's okay. It doesn't diminish the win. It will never diminish the win. That Super Bowl is forever on that trophy, the Lombardi trophy. You did it, but you couldn't sustain it. It wasn't built for a Super Bowl window. You had no window. You had a one-year wonder kind of deal. The next year, where'd you guys go? 9-7? What was the next year? You got to the divisional game in New Orleans. But what was the record? 10-6? 9-7? I forget. What was the record after the Super Bowl win? So you pretty theoretically had 2 years, and it was over. Fast forward to 22. You had a window a little bit half the year of last year. You had a year and a half, and it went out. Your Super Bowl window was a year and a half. You guys were 9-7 the year after you won the Super Bowl. Okay, well, you were never a contender again. You were never a contender. I mean, and now it's playing the same out situation, same out. Why? Because Jeff Kerr made one of the greatest comments in the history of football, covering a sport. Howie Roseman's style of building football teams is not sustainable. And if you hang your hat on that, you'll understand where you have to be every year. And some of the moves that you have to be correct every single year in your free agency and your drafting, or it's never going to contain or continue. It never does. What's the one thing Kansas City does out? Let's take Mahomes out of the conversation. They draft, and they draft exceptionally well. And they don't really sign free agents. Who's the biggest free agent Kansas City has signed? Kareem Hunt? Juju Smith-Schuster? Seriously, who do they sign? Do they sign any free agents? Who's San Francisco signing? Javon Hargrave? They traded for Trent. They traded for McCaffrey. Again, it wasn't a signed free agent sign. I mean, Tyreek Hill was a draft choice, dumbass. I mean, they don't sign free agents. Kansas City doesn't do any of that shit. Right? But you do it on a daily basis. Pats were 4.5 favorites over the Eagles. Pats were 12 over the Giants in 08. Okay. Can't beat the Chiefs. The Niners are soft. Niners are soft? Then so are you. You didn't beat them in the Super Bowl either. It'll be an interesting game this weekend. Howie draft picks are starting to show promise, though. Who? Who's showing promise? Draft picks. Like who? 2-5. Who are showing promise? And not this year's guys, because we don't really know. Nolan Smith is showing promise? I don't think so. Dean sucks. I don't think so. Mitchell, some, yes. Jordan Davis is a joke. Ojomo? Well, I'm really sad that guy's playing well. You know why? That means the two guys in front of him suck. So look at who you're going to. You're going to the guys that have the least amount of experience and not the guys who have been there 3 years. What's that tell you? Flash in the pan, most of these guys. You're talking about this year's draft. You don't have one guy on that football team that's on a second coming for Josh Sweat. That Howie drafted. I just keep bringing that up to you. So don't talk to me about development of players. Because by the time they get to their fifth-year option, they're off the team. Smitty's on offense, dude. I'm talking about your defensive football team. Here, let's do this. Let's get to the game. And once again, I answer questions here on my takes and my positions. And if you think that that's negative, stop asking dumb questions that you don't want to hear the answers to. I always tell my daughter that. If you don't want to hear the answer, don't ask it. Because what you want to hear, I'm not going to tell you. And so if you happen to think that my show and what we do here is negative, stop asking fucking stupid questions that you don't want your feelings hurt on. Simple. Remember, I take what you guys say and answer questions. And if you don't want to hear what you want to hear, then don't ask the questions. It's simple. Because I won't respond. The defense has depth, he says, and they're 29th. They have depth and they're 29th. How does that not make sense? How in the world does the defense have depth when no one's producing? This guy says the defense has depth and no one's producing. Hey, Dominic, you tell me if this is depth. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Adama Kinsu, Linville Joseph, and Jordan Davis. That's depth. That's depth. Okay? That's a deep team. Especially in the middle. That's deep. That's a deep football team. Okay? Here. Oh, that's one of my favorite lines right here. And yet their defense is 29th. And they have 10 sacks. And 5 of them came in one game. And they have a top 5 D-line. Nobody in their right mind would look at the Eagle D-line and say that your edge rushers are good. Bryce Huff is a disaster. The best player on your D-line right now is a 36-year-old player. Sweat's playing good. I like the way Josh is playing. Your 2 tackles, one I'm not giving the 5th-year option to, and the other guy's up and down. But you have the 5th best. Okay, Steve. I wouldn't. The Giants are superior to you in D-line, and Thibodeau's out. Top 5 D-line. Holy shit, is this guy blind? Do you not watch the game? We are deep in the secondary. No, you're not. You're inexperienced in the secondary. How do you constitute being deep in the secondary with guys who've only played 5 NFL football games? How is that deep? My God, that's not deep. Experience is deep. Not guys who haven't played and will be up and down all year. Dude, those guys are good players, it seems. But to sit there and say that you have depth because of Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell is a joke. Those guys need to get NFL reps. They're a long way away from being considered really good players. Cooper DeJean looks like, hey, against the Browns, he looked good. There were times he looked really good. There were times he got turned around. Vic said the same thing in the press conference. Quinyon Mitchell is now starting to get tougher assignments. Why? Because Slay's been in and out of the lineup, and you got to put your best skilled guy back there on guys. There is no doubt about that his game is going to, I don't want to say suffer, but I told you, one of the greatest things for Quinyon Mitchell in preparing him for the upcoming season was you got to practice against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That caught him up to speed quicker and helped him play against some of these wide receivers that he's playing. You can see it. Dude, you got to cover Quenya. You got to cover. Quenya Mitchell's got to cover AJ and Devontae in practice. Dude, even if you're going through 9-on-7, that's a tough cover. Okay, that's a tough cover. That's more of it right there, Sam. That these too young and too inexperienced to be skillful and too unskilled. Yes, remember what I said? The defense will be better next year and the year after. Kind of like the Chiefs. Dude, no question about it. I think that's when you're really going to see the defense. Now, that's if they keep pieces intact, which they're not known to do. Hey, once again, you didn't do anything special to the Browns. The Browns did everything they did seasonally, average-wise. They threw the same amount of passing yards they had in the previous 4. They ran the ball the same. They scored the same points. You didn't do anything exceptional. You're making the unexceptional seem exceptional because you held the Browns to what? Their season averages? You didn't do anything special against them. And that's why the game was – if you were so special, the whole football team, and you got all your players back on offense, what happened? You beat the Browns by 4? But still, Myles Garrett made a play. That's not what I'm saying to you. You were in a fourth quarter football game, and you won by 4. This is – sometimes I feel like I'm banging my head against something here because you can't see the truth here. We're no Denver Broncos defensive level. Not even close. You're a bottom 5 defense right now. Could it get better? Could, maybe. I don't know. Depends on what the offense does. Offense keeps getting 3 and outs, and they have no rhythm in the first 5 series. Your defense is going to struggle for that, and they're going to pay for that. Hurts turns the ball over, you're going to lose games that you don't want to lose and shouldn't lose. Here, let's get to the Eagles and the Giant game. 97 miles separate these two franchises. When I grew up, Giants and Eagles, that was a sensational rivalry. Giants and Washington wasn't really Giants and Cowboys. The only reason that thing had some punch to it is because Landry played with the Giants. And there was some, history there with the franchise. But other than that, I grew up, I always thought it was Eagles and Giants. When I was a kid, it wasn't Giants and Cowboys. It was Giants and Eagles because of the proximity of the two teams. Explain to me why the team gets injured during the two days of practice when all they do is tackle couch cushions. Well, this practice is really working. Dude, there's more guys on IR now in the bye week. We're coming out of the bye, and then now after the Cleveland game, there's a laundry list of guys. Okay? Appreciate red light, green light. Appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you. Please hit the like button for me if you could. I think it's a organizational thing that they don't want to run the ball. 97 miles separate the two teams. Giants lose to tackle Andrew Thomas, which will be an absolutely critical loss to them as they play against the Eagles front 7. By the way, that helps the Eagles front 7. Not having Andrew Thomas is one of the best left tackles in the game. MetLife is always a rocky place for Philly to go up and play. Fans will show up. It'll be a raucous place. A traditional rivalry between the two teams. It's going to probably be dubbed the Barkley Bowl. Daniel Jones has played better. As a matter of fact, he's played as well as Hurts has in the passing game. The Giants have a better passing offense, ranking-wise, right now than the Eagles do. And you can't use the excuse, well, Jalen doesn't have his guys. Daniel Jones has no guys. And Malik Neighbors has been in and out of the lineup. So that's not an excuse. He's averaging about 219 yards a game, which is 12th in the NFL. The Eagles are 17th. Malik Neighbors will be a problem, especially if Slay's out. The Giants' defense will be formidable. And I would say this. It's not that the Hurts offense has been bad. It's just been inconsistent. Giant defense has 26 sacks. They lead the NFL in sacks. And by the way, Fred Johnson versus Brian Burns, something to keep an eye on. Brian Burns versus Fred Johnson, you might want to go 2 tight end set. How about this one? Do we not agree? Jalen Hurts cannot be outplayed by Daniel Jones in this game. Right? He cannot be outplayed by him. Do I think he can? No. But he's played better. Okay? He's played better. Right? Hurts can't get outplayed by this guy, though. Okay? I mean, look at this. You have the better team. Take the coaches off the field. Don't even talk about the coaches. Okay? You have the better team. Like you did against the Browns. There's no fucking excuses here. I mean, you're the better team. But why do I feel going into this game this thing's close? Because I do think it's close. And I'm pretty much going to pull the same number out that I did last week. I think the Eagles win this game 24-20. But it'll be a fourth quarter game, 60-minute ball game. And it's a divisional opponent. Most of the time these games are close. The Giants are not great, but they're better than I thought they'd be. And once again, the Giant defense will create problems for that inconsistent offense of the Eagles. And if that happens, this will come down to Daniel Jones versus the Eagle defense, like it did last week. Pick your shitty quarterback versus what you got a shitty quarterback going against a shitty defense. Okay? Last week, the Eagles won versus a shitty Deshaun Watson. Will they do that again against Daniel Jones? I think they will. Jones will make it close, though. He'll make it close. Now, again, the problem that they have is they have no running game. They can't run the ball to save their life. So you're going to see 3 and outs. The problem is this. The secondary of the Giants is going to be like a trap for Kellen Moore and Nick and those guys. And I include Nick now, that they're going to want to throw the ball. If the quarterback doesn't have rhythm and he's not accurate in this game, you're going to see 3 and outs like you do all the time, especially in the first 25 scripted plays. By the way, the worst part of the game plan has been the first 25 scripted in all 5 games. All 5 football games. Your first 25 scripted plays have been terrible. And that's your coordinator that you say is an upgrade from Brian Johnson? I don't see that. Brian Johnson, by the way, Kellen Moore to this point, October 18th, has not been an upgrade. I mean, could that narrative change as Hurts' game plays and he plays better? Yeah. But right now, October 18th, It's not been an upgrade. I mean, they were 5-0 last year. Hurts looked great. I mean, Kellen Moore has not been an upgrade to this point. Rich goes like this. He asks a question here. Will the Eagles score in the first quarter of this game? Rich, here's the trend. You tell me, Rich. Would you not agree the first 25 plays and the first scripted plays of the game plan have been the worst part of the game plan? Sills, wouldn't it be a disadvantage for us to use Barkley since they know Barkley's weakness and tendencies? No. The weaknesses and tendencies of the Eagles is not personnel on offense. It's schematically how they use their players. Hence, go to the numbers, never cross the middle. And when the two wide receivers are on the field, the tight end is lost. He's lost in the transition. He's just lost in the transition. It seems to me sometimes when they go to Barkley, they go to Barkley sometimes out of necessity because the quarterback is not accurate. So they go to him. And Barkley is like a Kyle Schwarber. He's going to have a lot of misses, but he's going to hit you one for 60. And he's going to take it and hit his head on the goalpost. That's who Saquon Barkley is. He's not Derrick Henry, rolling for 10 and 15 and 20 and 8 and 9 and running guys over like that. Henry's a war horse. So I believe this game will have shittier quarterback play than last night's game. That was terrible. It's Hurts and AJ playing pitch and catch while the other 9 watch. That's exactly how their offensive passing game goes. Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley's Kyle Schwarber. He's going to strike out minus yards, 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, 60. Kyle Schwarber, strikeout, pop out, strikeout, 2-run homer. That's who he is. Okay? And that's who Barkley is. The war horse in Baltimore is different. That's why my style of guy is that guy. 8, 9, 5, running guys over. Loosening up secondaries and linebackers for your quarterback to have pitch and catch with your guys who are not as talented as the guys in Philly. Why do you think the people in Baltimore are having such good years in the passing game? You know why? Because both the quarterback and the running back soften up them linebackers and those edge rushers. They got to get up on the line of scrimmage. Let me tell you something. When you got a guy like Derrick Henry and you know that guy gets a head start, you move as close as you can to the line of scrimmage. If you're a linebacker or defensive lineman, if you don't have a big-time back there, you play softer because you're not looking for that guy to run you over. But when you got a guy like that, you got to crowd the line of scrimmage because that guy, you don't want to give him a 3-yard head start. He's going to run you over. That's why Baltimore has the effective ability to be able to throw across the middle of the field because the middle of the seam is open because those linebackers are playing close to the line of scrimmage. It's common sense. When you got a schwimp like the Kobe Dean playing linebacker and you got a guy like Derrick Henry, dude, I'm taking Derrick Henry and I'm running right at that fucker. That guy's a 220-pound guy versus a 255-pound running back who's 6'4". I mean, he could eat a bowl of soup off his head. Seriously, if you put Derrick Henry next to Schwimpy Dean, he'd need a Tokyo phone book just to look him in the chest. I mean, when I see Nakobe Dean playing out there, he looks like he's 5'2", with a size 4 shoe. Shit, Sue's got a bigger shoe. No offense, Sue. Hey, between Dean and Nolan Smith, they look like two dudes that are 5'3" and belong in a circus, walking a tight wire. Oh, man. Sileo, what if the Eagles had Aaron Rodgers on this team? Holy cow. Aaron Rodgers at 41. Seals, what are you expecting is going to happen with the Eagles? I expect another dysfunctional first quarter and bad scripted plays. Yeah, and they'll leak it out. Yes. And they'll leak it out. I'm not taking a shot at Sue. Why? Because Sue has big – I never said Sue had big feet. I just – yeah, maybe I did. Yeah. Sorry, Sue. Didn't mean it, man. I apologize. That's what – chicks they cram their feet into, like, smaller shoes because they don't want their feet to look big. I don't know. It's a chick thing. I don't know. Sue, tell me you don't have a pair of shoes that you squeeze your feet into because you don't want those shoes to make your feet look big. Chicks do that. That's why they got them funky feet. That's why they got them bunions. No, that's you that has. No, Michelle, that's you that has petite feet. Why are we talking about Sue's feet? Yeah, it's a good point. So, why did TJ and Kaiser get so much better after they left? Because the Eagles developed them. The Eagles were developing Kaiser White and TJ Edwards and said, hey, you know what? We think it's our system and we think it's us. And you have to have it replace them. Okay? Sue's our homie. Yes, he is. It's all good. Hammer toes. There you go, Cody. Cody dates a chick that squeezes her feet. I get it. Sue, it's all good. The Kobe Dean plays like he wears tiny shoes. Wait a minute. Keep evolving. I'll show you how that looks. Have we figured out, is it Sirianni's offense, Hurts' offense, or Moore's offense? Yes. So this is how, right here, Keep Evolving says that this is how Kobe plays. That's kind of hilarious. Dean did tackle Henry with one arm at 22. Who should put that on a highlight reel? Or highlight a couple plays, because he really hasn't had any. Yeah, this is how Kobe plays. That's what he's saying. Okay? Like he's tiptoeing. Oh, my God. Yeah, when he sees Derrick Henry, like Howie. Like Howie. Dean has a 39 PFF grade. Dog, I'm pretty sure he's the same size as Britton Covey. Howie Meanie, Miney Mo. Drafts are killing me. Hey, dude, are you trying to tell me, Brian, that you think that Nakobe Dean wears a size 6 shoe? No man should ever wear a size 6 shoe. Okay? If you're wearing a size 6 and you're a dude, I don't know. The Y's and the X's and Z's missed you. Hey, I got a size 17 and a half foot, just so you keep it score here. Okay? I got a 17 and a half foot. Okay? No man should have a size 6. You have a size 6? I don't know. I think the Y's and the Z's missed you. 12's a good size. There you go. Says who you got? Texas versus Georgia. Georgia. Tennessee, Bama. It's in Bama. Tennessee. I think that coach down at Bama. Okay. Hey, what's his name? DeBoring. What's the coach's name now that came down from Washington? Coach DeBoring? Like his offense? Yeah. That guy gonna get run out of Tuscaloosa in 1 year. And they have the money to pay that guy off. like they did Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Gus Malzahn had $62 million. Wait, I'll give you a better one. Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron had $47 million owed to him. You know what they did at LSU? Hey, coach, come on in here. We're going to have a little conversation. I'll tell you what Ed said to him. AD goes, yeah, I think we're going to move on, coach. You know, we're going to pay you in full. Your coach buyout and all your contract. It's $50 million. You know what Ed did? Thanks a lot. Brought you a national title. Gave you an SEC title. Only guy to do that is Saban and me. I beat Alabama. How you doing? How's Brian Kelly doing right now? How's Brian Kelly doing down there? That's the kind of money them freaks got down there in the Southeastern Conference where it matters most. Shit, if Vanderbilt played in the Big 12, they'd be undefeated. It's almost better for us to play bad. Howie has a harder time messing it up when we draft high. Actually, I think he does a better job, Mike, in the latter rounds than he does in the first round. He finds better football players. Forrest, I loved Coach O. We're big fans. My daughter loves Coach O. Ain't gonna get no man nowhere. Woo-yah! Hey, how you doing, honey? Come over here. It's Coach O. I don't want to get too creepy, but Coach O was doing that shit in Baton Rouge. Hey, what's your name? My name is Susie Q. Oh, Susie Q, how you doing? My name is Big O. My name is Big Orgeron. You know what the Big O means, don't you? How you doing? Don't ask Kenny Pickett. He's got small hands. There's nothing small on Coach O. He was doing that shit at gas stations. He did it to the dean's wife or some shit. Crazy. Coach chased the who, man. That's for sure. One of the reasons they got him out of there is because he was chasing skirts. If the Giants win the toss and choose to kick, we know what type of game this is going to be. Jalen better be wise on those checkdowns and bubble screens, John. Hey, what's that in your pants there? Oh, wait, that's me. What's in my pants? Oh, Coach O, man. Yeah, Coach O was chasing the hoo-ah down in Baton Rouge. That's why he got knocked out of there. Hey, how you doing, honey? It's a nice skirt you're wearing. I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding. That's what he was doing down there. They did the same. They did say Coach O used to be running through the students at LSU. That's hey. Yes, hey, I'll tell you what, all the sororities know who Coach O is. Hey, dude, he's been on the program, and I love the guy to death. There ain't a sorority down in Baton Rouge I haven't been in. How you doing? Hey, Kumalaphilia. Hey, there's a famous sorority down in Baton Rouge, Kumalaphilia. You know, I belong to Kumalaphilia. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, Meyer chases the who too, man. Yeah. Yeah, the only problem is that during the holidays, he wasn't dressed as Santa. Come over and sit on my lap. During Christmas time, Coach O didn't have Santa's outfit on. Hey, honey, come sit on my lap. How you doing? He can recruit, though. Hey, you know what the best thing about Orgeron is? He built USC under Pete Carroll. He was fantastic, man. They won national championships because he was the director of recruiting. Okay? Serious, where do you rank Cam Ward in the Heisman race? I think he's second right now. I think he's second, maybe first. Travis Hunter's probably second. And the running back from Boise State's probably third right now. Sanders is not in that conversation. Milroe, losing the Vandy, probably crushed him. But he'll hang around, especially if they end up winning the Southeastern Conference. Alabama. Big game this week against Tennessee, as we said. What, do you got a problem with me wearing an Italian shirt? Hey, Don. What do you think I am? Irish? Sileo. Hey. Oh, Sileo. And hey, right? Oh, Sileo. What do you think I'm Irish? With the number being 10, do you take the over or under the amount of play Nick calls this week on offense? Over. I say over. Hey, you think they'll play hard for their coach knowing that the coach is on the hot seat? By the way, what's the score of the game, you think? I said 24-20. What do you got? And I don't want to hear from M. Reyes on this. Okay, go ahead, M. Reyes. I don't care. What's the score this week? Give me some scores. I got 24-20. 25-20? Okay, Abe. 17-14. Wow. Kellen Moore will be under enormous hell on Monday. Sunday with the pregame show or postgame show. If they only win, look at this, man. There's my boy right there, boy. How you doing? 35-21 Gigantes. Andres, 27-7. You must think your defense is good. Look at this thing. 18-6. Hey, Brian, let me do this for you. Hey, Brian, who scores more runs and points in the next game? The Dodgers or the Eagles? Who scores more points or runs? The LA Dodgers or the Eagles? The Dodgers. Eagles win by 10 points or more this week. Don't have any reasoning behind it. Just a unusual gut feeling. Okay. They should. The Dodgers are going to score more runs than the Eagles are going to score points. Yeah. Hey, Dodgers last night, man. I was thinking that last night watching. I go, look at the Dodgers just killing the Mets in their own building too. And I'm like, shit, man, the offense for the Dodgers is a little more potent than the Eagle offense, led by that great Jalen Hurts. Woo! Holy cow, man. Sorry, shoe, about the shoe size. I didn't mean that, dog. Holy cow. M. Reyes, 53-1. Yeah, they're going to have a rouge or something like they do in Canada. They got a rouge or some shit where you can get a point. I don't know. And so you can like a Canadian game. A field. Can you imagine if that Eagle defense had to play on a Canadian field where the field is wider? Holy shit. You talk about never setting the edge, let alone setting the edge. But hey, there's one man who has a green thumb. And this man does our pre and post. He also is the co-host of Birds 365. I listened again a little bit. I think John McMullen's water has been poisoned by Sileo because I hear a little bit of negative stuff going on. Why am I sounding like Coach Joe? I can't get it out of my mind. Anyway, all right. He's got a big game against Tennessee, too, this week. Woo! Coach the Boring versus the Vols. Can't lose the people who make atomic bombs at Vanderbilt, dog. That being said, we bring him in with Big Z, Xander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm still recovering from our segment yesterday, which was That left me laughing for hours after the fact. What a segment that was. It's game time now, Big Sills. Football Friday, baby.
How
The
you
New
feeling
York
about it?
Football Giants.
How you feeling about it, my friend, going up to a place that's always been, well, it's a divisional foe. I mean, common opponent. You see them all the time. Going up to MetLife, where Micaiah Becton says it's a shithole. Doesn't want to play there. How you feeling about going and playing those Gigantes?
Quit fucking crying, everybody, about the turf, man. All right, I get it. The MetLife isn't great. I'm done hearing about it, though. Sills, the more I sit here and talk on air and the more I research on this football game, the worse I feel. Now, I will say this, and I will stick to what I said this morning. Even if I reserve the right to change my score, I will not change who will win the game. I do believe the Eagles will win the game. I think they have just more talent. I think they're going to out-talent this team. But I will say, somebody was in here. One of our great new members, I believe it was in here. I have a gut feeling that we win by 10. Okay, well, my gut feeling is coming in on the wrong side of this thing. It seems like this is a game that's ripe for the Giants to kind of take advantage of where we are, where they are. They're getting Malik Neighbors back, and I would be on the upset watches live. I do believe the Eagles are going to win the football game. I had 27-21, and I don't know if the Eagles offense can score 27 points right now. So that's my fear with my own score, but I'm going to stick to it, 27-21. I think the Birds get the win this week.
Hurts outplays Daniel Jones, right?
You better hope so. I mean,
no. I'm asking you. Hurts outplays Daniel Jones Sunday, right?
I can't say that with confidence, no.
Oh.
Wait, well, let's just run through it. I think he outplayed Jordan.
Super chats will be read at the end. We appreciate you guys. Please hit the like button. Go ahead, Xander. I'm sorry.
Appreciate everybody, man. Yesterday's show was just tremendous. The chat was tremendous. It was great stuff. I think he outplayed Jordan Love in week 1. Who do we have week 2? We had the Falcons. He didn't outplay Kirk. That's for sure.
No,
week 3, he had the Saints. I think he outplayed, but it was more so. Yeah, it wasn't. I view it as more as the defense shut down the Saints. Week 4, Baker Mayfield made him look like an arena football quarterback out there. And then last week,
he was good.
You beat up on Watson. Yeah.
Well, good defense, too. He was good. He was good. He was.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay. He wasn't great.
I say
he
that
didn't make any progress in the areas you want to see progress in other than the turnovers. So, look, it was good last week. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not sold he's going to outplay Daniel Jones. He's not.
Well, the Giants coming into this game have done more passing-wise, passing the ball a little bit more.
They got one extra game. I mean, Danny Dimes has been
average. I'm looking at the average. It's about 219 a game right now.
It's right in that range.
So right now he's 12th. Their passing offense is 12th in the league, and the Eagles are 17th in the league right now. And again, I mean, you can't use the excuse about receivers not being there. He has none. So I mean, Daniel Jones has. Well, he's got Neighbors, but Neighbors has been in and out of the lineup all year so far.
Yeah. So, but Malik will be back. I'll tell you what my biggest fear with this game is. The Giants are leading the league in sacks right now,
and they're 10th overall
in defense.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're looking at. I know they're not. I know they don't have Kayvon Thibodeau, which, by the way, should scare everybody because if they got him back, I think this would be a real mismatch for our offensive line. Talking about
Fred Johnson's got to block Brian Burns.
Fred Johnson gave up 11 pressures on 38 pass snaps last week.
He's got Brian Burns this
week.
Or
not last week versus the Bucs.
Okay, well
he's got Brian Burns, who has 3 sacks.
Burns this week.
And then you also have Dexter Lawrence, who has 7 sacks already on the interior of that defensive line. Now, I feel pretty good about Cam Jurgens, too, everybody. But he ain't played anybody like Dexter Lawrence yet.
No.
So that's going to be interesting. And then, you know that like I said this morning, there's no common sense with the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't know how to use common sense if their life depended on it. So Jalen Hurts is going to drop back. He's going to be in the shotgun. And he's probably going to hold on to the ball for around 3 to 3.5 seconds like he typically does. If you looked at this defensive line, you said, oh, they lead the league in sacks. Let's try and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands a little quicker. That would be the common sense approach, and I don't think the Eagles will take it. So I think they have a chance to wreck the game, and without Kayvon Thibodeau, if they had him out there, it would be real trouble because I think Lane would block Kayvon, but that would open up your interior with Dexter Lawrence. So it's a big loss for them to not have him out there, but I still think they have a chance to wreck this game or at least make it hard for our offense to move the ball.
I'd say this to you. I just see here that Prince said he played against Villa. Well, I actually think the Buccaneer defensive line did a pretty damn good job against the Philadelphia Eagle middle of their offense. I mean, they didn't get anything going really.
That's fair, though, because I brought up Cam Jurgens. I mean, that's a tough test for Vita Vea is a tough test. You're right about that. And I think Vita Vea had a sack in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
And they did a nice job at stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
Because they stopped running the ball. He came out in the second half. Remember, Barkley went down the sidelines, and for whatever reason, they absolutely got away from that there. But here, I mean, who do you think has the most pressure on them heading into this game, Hurts
Eagles.
or Sirianni?
Oh, Hurts or Sirianni. I thought you were going to say Eagles or Giants. I'm like, Eagles, are you kidding? For me, it's Hurts. For the city, it's probably going to be Nick. Because, look, there's still a large swath of people out there who believe, like, all of our problems are on Nick Sirianni. And I got news for everybody.
There's no way.
They're not.
They're not.
I mean, I'm not a huge Nick fan either. Yeah, I'd like a real professional head coach. Not
how
a
can
guy
a guy with any without responsibilities have – how can Nick, who has no responsibilities, how could he be under the fire and it's his fault with all the things that are going sideways? And there's not a ton of shit going sideways. They're just inconsistent right now. That's all it is. Where in the world, what his influence on the shitty calls that he calls? Well, how about all the good ones that John McMullen says that he calls where they're winning? They are 3-2. Look, I mean, he's probably 20% of the problem that you have in Philly right now.
Yeah, you could even argue it's a little less. Now, I think his
problems
are more. I think his problems are more non-football related. Where he's just a clown. He acts like a D3 coach, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like the D3 coaches that have to live on hype and hoopla and rah because those guys know. Most of those guys are playing football for the love of the game. They know they're not going to the pros or anything, or at least most of them aren't. That's where those D3 coaches make their money, and I'm not criticizing them, but that's what Nick Sirianni acts like. Which is pretty insane to think about when we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar franchise here. And these are the pros and the NFL and all this stuff. I mean, it's embarrassing with Nick Sirianni. But anyway, my concerns with him are mostly non-football related. My concerns are more player related, Jalen Hurts related, Eagles offense related. I mean, everybody's talking about this Kurt Warner breakdown. Kurt Warner did a tremendous video on YouTube after one of his tweets went viral because he brought up Jalen Hurts. And Eagles fans, as always, jumped all over Kurt Warner because a quarterback of Kurt's stature told you that he sees Hurts is at fault for some of the things. And then he made a video and he broke it all down. And yeah, it's a little alarming, Sills. It's on the quarterback a lot more than people are lending to believe.
There's guys wide open. They're second in separation, even with your backups. And he's 25th in accuracy. That's a telling stat about what people are looking at with he's not very accurate. If the guy's not wide open and he's predictable, get this. People like M. Reyes get a little bit aggravated when I say, here's his traits. He throws to the numbers and he rolls right. And he doesn't throw across the middle. That's who that guy is.
No, and you're right. In the first game, they came out and threw across the middle. He had 2 picks.
Dude, those guys, for whatever reason, when I see Jalen Hurts and I'm putting a game plan together, I'm forcing him to roll left. Do whatever I can to do that. I know he's not going to go across the middle of the field. He's probably not going to find a tight end because he can't find him when you have the other 2 guys on the field.
He ain't out there this week anyway.
Yeah, right.
Does Jalen not like Dallas Goedert? Like you got Calcaterra more involved last week.
No, because Dallas Goedert plays on the seam and he plays on the hash. Right. He doesn't throw across the middle.
Yeah, but Calcaterra
him out wider. Actually, I think it'd be better to actually put Dallas Goedert out wide one time and then bring in AJ. You know what I would do, Xander, really? To get Goddard going too? I'd put AJ in the slot, a couple plays, and put Goddard out wide. so that he can get the ball in the hands of Goddard. Because you know the one thing that I love about Dallas Goedert? Once he gets the ball, dude, he's tough to get down on the ground. He has a nose for the end zone when he's in there. They've got to create and do a better job at getting a ball in the hands of other guys other than those two dudes, because it's too fucking predictable, dude. Dude, it's the same offense as a year ago. And I'm going to ask you something here, too, because I brought this up in the first hour. How about this, dude? First 5 games of the year last year with Jalen Hurts, first 5 games this year. Brian Johnson do a better job with Hurts last year than what's going on right now with Kellen Moore the first 5 games?
I'd have to look at the tape, but no improvement in my
No,
opinion.
just your eyes. Just your eyes.
My eyes would tell me no improvement. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with since Jalen has signed his contract, he has not improved. He has gone backwards. He has regressed as a quarterback. Now, whether you want to put that on the coordinator, the player, the coaches, that's all up for you to think about, and everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. But the stats are the stats, and the facts are the facts. Jalen Hurts has regressed since he signed that contract after that 2022 Super Bowl appearance. And, it's tough for me to even criticize Brian Johnson at this point. Look at what Jaden Daniels is doing in Washington. And by the way, let me bring up one point from somebody in the chat, and I appreciate it, but I'm going to hit you back. Sean McKay checks in. He says, I have no worries that the Eagles will be able to score against New York. Okay, Sean, how many? Because we're averaging 21.2 points per game with a $175 million offense. That's what we're averaging per game right now, Sean. Do you believe that is winning football on the offensive side? Now, everybody loves to rip on the defense, and I get it. The defense is easy to rip. The scheme is soft, 2 high safeties, corners playing 10 yards off. Nobody gets sacks. Nobody tackles. The defense sucks. We all know this. They suck. But at the end of the day, this team was not built to be a defensive football team. This team was built to have a middle-of-the-pack defense and rely on your offensive firepower to win. 21.2 points per game. That's brutal.
I want to read you something here. So do you ever follow the NFL quarterback index? You know what that is? It's putting all the stats together, percentages.
Yep.
And all that stuff. I got to tell you, man, you weren't far off on how the quarterbacks are being perceived right now when it comes to their effectiveness, their efficiency, touchdown to interception, accuracy, all of that.
Right.
This index is a pretty good indicator of where you are playing so far and what you're doing, because you know what it does? It takes the record out of the conversation.
Right, you're looking at play.
You're looking at pure play of what the guy means to his respected offense. I want to read you something here. And you're more right than I am when I came up with my quarterback list and where I thought Hurts was. So check it out. I
delivered the greatest quarterback list you'll ever hear.
Here, listen to this. According to the recent NFL quarterback index, Lamar's 1, Mahomes is 2, Burrow's 3, Allen is 4, Stroud is 5, Jaden Daniels is 6, Golf is 7, Mayfield is 8, Purdy is 9, Geno Smith is 10 from Seattle.
Wow, that's surprising.
Jordan Love is 11, Dak Prescott's 12, Kirk Cousins is 13, Joe Flacco's 14, Kyler Murray's 15, Stafford is 16, Sam Darnold's 17, Aaron Rodgers is 18, Caleb Williams is 19, Justin Herbert is 20, Jalen Hurts is 21.
That was pretty good. I was pretty good with my list.
You were very close.
Yeah, I mean, I was off with a couple guys, but I mean, they had Dak a little bit higher. Where was Aaron Rodgers on that list?
18th.
Lower. Yeah, he hasn't been good.
I mean, end of the day here, this has got nothing to do with a take or anything. This is the play of the quarterback inside their respected offense. Jalen Hurts is not in the top 20. He's not playing in the top 20 with effectiveness and efficiency with his own offense.
Yeah.
You got guys like Geno Smith that are more effective and more efficient.
Yeah, and I would push everybody to stop falling into the trap of, oh, we didn't have AJ Brown. I mean, if that's going to be your take, then your take on the other side of it has to be, I understand we don't have anywhere close to an elite quarterback.
That's
Nowhere
right.
close.
That's right.
Because
You
if you're
indict
going
the
to
quarterback.
assume that your offense should just not perform at all, basically, to the tune of
That's right.
15 and 16 and 17 and 18 points,
They indict their own quarterback when they say that.
and they don't realize it, right?
And they
just
don't
use it as an
realize it, that
excuse.
they're indicting him. Well, we don't have AJ and Devontae. Well, that means this: your quarterback's not efficient if you don't have your
Yeah,
top
right.
talented wide receivers. Daniel Jones is more efficient at times than what you see with Jalen Hurts because he really doesn't even have a running game.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, so when
Prince
you
says
say
that's
that,
my top 10. Prince, I was busting with you, but you got to put in your top 10 again, Prince, because if it's close to that, I'll give you some kudos.
where is Mahomes and Allen? Mahomes is second, and Allen's fourth.
Yeah, and I had Mahomes 1 just because I wasn't going to unseat Mahomes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I had Allen 2, Lamar 3, Joe 4, CJ 5. Brock, I had a little higher. I had him at 6, Daniel 7, Jordan
And
Love
by the way,
8.
Daniel Jones is 22,
Right behind Jared Hurts.
right behind Hurts.
Yeah. So we got the same quarterback right now as New York. So keep
Yeah.
laughing about Daniel Jones, everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not any here. This is what people go. So you're comparing Jalen Hurts to Daniel Jones? No, I'm saying that Jalen Hurts is playing at the same level as Daniel Jones right now.
Well, no, I mean, look, you got to extend the same time. If you, depending on what logic you hold, you have to extend that logic to the others that you're going to evaluate. If
No
you're
way.
sit here and tell me
I agree with you.
Taylor deserves an excuse for not having AJ out there or Devontae out there or having injuries, are you going to sit here and tell me Daniel Jones sucks? He's had Darius Slayton since he's been in the league. I mean, think about it. This is the first time he's ever had a good receiver in Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
Malik Neighbors is lighting the league up right now. He's already had.
That's right. Odell Beckham was with Eli.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 10-catch game. Sills, Malik Neighbors had a game where he had 18 targets. Think about that. 18 targets to one player. He's going to be that good. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, look, you want to tell me A.J. Brown is so important for us? Well, he finally got a receiver. So evaluate him in the same way you're evaluating Jalen Hurts.
Let me ask you this. What kind of issues do you think? Here, let's do this. What kind of game do you think Quinyon Mitchell has on Malik Neighbors?
Well, I don't think they're gonna run him in man, and I don't think they're gonna let him travel at all. I mean, they already talked about that last week because they asked.
Oh, they're gonna flip fields with him.
Well, no, they're gonna keep him on the left side, or I guess it would be the right side if you look at it from that way.
So Slay's not out. You're gonna go down to Isaiah Rodgers covering.
Yes, that's what they said they're gonna do. They're gonna keep Quinyon on his side.
That's a nightmare.
Now, I think Slay's gonna play, for what it's worth. That's just a think. It's not. I don't have a report or anything. I think Slay's going to play. Now, they're not going to play man, I don't believe, on them at all. So they're going to keep in that soft zone coverage, and they'll probably move Malik Neighbors around. So in the opportunities that Quinyon gets against Malik, I feel pretty good about that, honestly. I think Quinyon has been really good this year. I'm not ready to crown him like some people are ready to crown him. But I think Quinyon will be good. I think he's ready for the call. And by the way, can I just say how much I love Quinyon Mitchell's mentality as a defensive football player? I called him the silent assassin. It's exactly what you want from a guy that's a cornerback. He has a short memory. He's in your face. He's not going to be loud beforehand like Slay, going on podcasts, doing all that stuff. Now, maybe he'll grow into that. But right now, that dude shows up, and he's a nightmare for people, as YouTube says. It's a good word for him. He's been a nightmare for receivers to deal with, and he should have had an interception last week if it wasn't for C.J. Gardner-Johnson jumping in front of his ass.
Do you know that he's almost tied Jalen Hurts with the play of Justin Fields, who's going to be dethroned as a starting quarterback this weekend? It's going to be Russell Wilson starting.
Yeah, dude deserves some credit, doesn't he, man? You lead your team to 4-2. Now, I know he has his issues. I don't believe he's that great of a quarterback either, but
you hear what he said in public, though? You hear what he said?
Yeah, that's what I'm going at. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
I love that.
That's really impressive. That dude deserves a lot of kudos. That's a dude you rally around that takes accountability like that.
Yep.
I mean,
I was
every
impressed.
Off ramp in the world for you to not say what he said, and he said what he said. Took full accountability. I needed to be better. I thought that was really dope. Now I don't think he's a great quarterback. That's a different conversation.
No, but I want him on my team.
Yeah, right. I think he handled it like a pro.
I really like him. Guys, please hit the like button here. I appreciate you guys here very much. All right, Xander, are you more concerned about the offense or defense heading into this game?
Heading into the game, look, my overall worries on this team are offensive related because the team is built to be an offensive football team. The team is not built to score 21.2 points a game. That's not why that's why when we came into the offseason, like I said before on the show, if you looked at coming into the offseason, you'd say, okay, we got to fix our defense up. Well, Howie didn't do that. Howie said, I'm going to put $12 million on Saquon Barkley. That was his approach. So Howie didn't believe the offense was good enough. So now you have 2-star riders.
Wait, he didn't believe the offense was good enough or the quarterback wasn't good enough?
Well, that's a quarterback thing. I think it's a quarterback thing.
I do too.
It's what it would appear to me. Is that you think everything needs to be perfect around the quarterback, and that's what they built. So to your point, and you look at that 22 defense, they let that entire thing at every level walk right out of there. They really did. I mean, they let Marcus Epps walk. They let the 2 linebackers walk. They let them all go, and they
didn't replace them. It's one thing to let them go because I'm not paying Hargrave 20. I get it. I do. And you're hoping that Carter's the replacement. But like we said, I mean, Xander, they never replaced Epps. They didn't replace Reddick. They didn't replace 2 guys that had 300 tackles in White and Edwards. They didn't surely replace the depth. Hey, look, as much as that, am I saying his name right? Ajomo?
Yeah, Moro Ajomo. He's been a good, pleasant surprise.
Do you think he's a Dominican Sue in Linville Joseph?
No. I'm not going to go there, but he's playing well.
Okay, right. Okay, but look at that team and the depth that they had in the interior with Cox. Also that year who had 7 sacks. And you had 2 defensive tackles that had 18 sacks combined. I mean, Xander, shit. Yeah. That's interior 18 and your perimeter guys at 22.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Unbelievable. And your other guy at 16 regular season and 19 total.
Dude, we ran down those numbers yesterday, and I was thinking about them all night. I was having nightmares about those stats, man. Thinking about that 22 defense and how good how good that they were. Pretty unbelievable when you think about some of those numbers. But no, we're not even close to that. We'll never see that again. And I don't think, I mean, that's not as much of a knock because you have 70 sacks. I mean, it's not going to happen often.
There's 2 teams in NFL history with 70.
Yeah, right. Our team is not even sniffing that type of defense though, and that's a sad thing. And by the way, big shout out to Sue. She just got her shirt. She ordered a JAKIB shirt. She got it. It's awesome. She says, "Love it, Sue. Appreciate your support, Sue."
By the way, all super chats will be read at the end here, but I want to go back to something because Dave Wannstedt is going to join us. By the way, we may have something else special lined up. Tony Weiss, the offensive line coach of those Dallas Cowboy teams, I think is staying with Coach Wannstedt. Now, who Tony Weiss is, you guys are like, I've never heard of him. Coach Weiss has 3 Super Bowl rings. He was the offensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys during their Super Bowl years, and he was also a coach at the University of Miami with Jimmy Johnson, and that was Jimmy Johnson's offensive line coach. And we'll talk to him, hopefully, about Jeff Stoutland and what Stoutland does that is so familiar to me because Tony Weiss did the same thing, Xander, that Jeff Stoutland does. And I want to know if he got it from Tony Weiss because Tony was the same thing. Every guy, first team, second team, third team guy got first team reps because he was developing everybody at the same time in case some guy went down like Gogan. They would put another guy in there like Giesick. So, I mean, yeah, Lord Von goes, Cowboy staff, get him out of here. You might want to fucking take a lesson, guy. Those guys own 3 rings. You're 1-3 in Super Bowls.
Yeah,
you might want to listen, guy.
Yeah,
you might want to listen.
On, that's a naive mentality, Lord Vaughn.
Absolutely. And remember what a lot of people, I don't think you said it, Xander, so I don't want to put that on you here yet, but maybe you did. People go like this, Vic's scheme sucks. Well, Dave Wannstedt ran the same scheme when they were 1-15. Only thing that changed 2 years later were the players. They ran the same defense. Dave didn't change the defense. Dave even asked Jimmy, and we'll bring this up. Hey, should we go to a 34? Jimmy goes, no, we're going to stick to it. We just need better players. So, Xander, this is about better players. This is Howie's deal.
Yeah, but don't you think the better players changed a little bit? Remember, back then, passing wasn't as common. I mean, look at Troy Aikman's stats. You know, I mean, he's the owner of what, 3
Fair
Super
enough.
Bowl rings, and he didn't have numbers like
But
this.
don't you fit the times?
Yeah, I just wonder if, because it's become such a pass heavy league, you know, where quarterbacks, I think, have even gotten better in modern times with throwing the football.
I think it's
Uh,
easier to get sacks today.
and I think it's easier to throw the ball
Yeah,
today,
it is.
and
Because
that's why
the
Baker
rules.
Mayfield come out and looking like,
Yeah.
a baller, because, he's watched our
Yeah, you're
defense
right.
on tape.
Baker Mayfield
Oh,
can't
okay.
play in the 90s. He couldn't play in the 90s.
Right, it's a different league and it's a different sport now. And I hear what you're saying. I hear where you're going. Where maybe there's too much hate on the scheme, but you got to remember the background of Philadelphia, and that factors into it, Sills. Where the mentality of our fan base and our city is so polar opposite from what they run on defense that even when it worked, we hated it, and it worked in 22. It worked about as good in 22 as you'll ever see in the modern game. And one, we didn't win because Patrick Mahomes threw for, I don't know. He actually didn't throw for that many yards in that game.
No, he actually hasn't had a really great Super Bowl.
No, he hasn't. You'll ask Philly Godfather about that. He's critical of Mahomes in Super Bowls.
Yeah. I mean,
But no, I mean, look, I just think
it's
it's a different. I just think the city will never get behind that defense because of the mentality and what they're used to. I mean, the defenses of the past with Buddy Ryan and Jim Johnson, it was just way different, man. It was way different, and they don't like this defense, and I don't know. I don't like it either, to be honest.
Well, let me go over to Nick.
I see what you're saying, though. I really do.
Let me go over here. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. Let me ask you this about Nick. So, and let's just take for what John McMullen says, that these players, and I hear Merrill Reese say this all the time too. Merrill was on yesterday with us and said it actually. Players really like Nick. They like playing for Nick. Okay. Well, do you really think since 2023 that looks like the players like playing for Nick? Do they like playing for him?
Yeah.
I mean, do you really see a lot of people that enjoy playing for him?
No, and they're not playing good.
If you're going into New York, are you going to win this for your coach because he's taking so much heat? I mean,
that's a fair point. And I brought up that I think the locker room still seems like they're bought in, but you could easily point to the play on the field and be like, are they bought in? Because they're not playing very good.
Right. Are they?
And that's a fair point. And real quick, let me just push back on Christopher Ham. Worked in 22. Yeah, jackass. It did. We had 70 freaking sacks. It did work very effectively. Look at the defensive numbers from our team in 22, my friend.
And the 31st ranked schedule coming off of a 4-win team.
I mean, and what were we ranked defensively in that year? We were top 5 defense in the league, dude.
Second in pass defense.
And then he says it cost us a Super Bowl. Wait, okay. If you believe that cost us a Super Bowl, you believe the fumble cost us a Super Bowl too, right? A 10-point swing to the Chiefs with Mahomes. You're not ruling that out, right, Christopher? As long as you're not ruling that out, I'll let you make that comment.
Or was it the field? I mean, you keep coming up with excuses. Patrick Mahomes
cost us the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts' fumble cost us a lot more in that Super Bowl than that defense did.
Yeah, because you can't make mistakes against him.
It was a 10-point swing, dude, in a tight game.
You can't make mistakes against Mahomes. You can't afford it.
Nobody wants to blame it because he had a great game otherwise. Okay, good. He had a good game otherwise. He fumbled the ball.
Every time I hear people go like this, Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes, my retort is always this: not when it mattered most.
Yeah.
I mean,
he lost the game. I mean, look, he fumbled. It was a 10-point swing, and that's ultimately what called. I'm not ripping Jalen. I think he had a good game otherwise, but you can't just sit here and tell me the defense cost us the game and then not factor that in. Sure enough points it out where he's correct. We were top 5 in damn near everything, Christopher. So come on, relax over there. Relax over there, big guy.
How much Barkley will he be featured in this game on Sunday?
I think a lot. I think a lot. I mean, look, common sense would tell you a lot. They're not a great run defense at all. They're second worst in the league right now in yards per carry. And you have a great offensive line. Now, you're missing Jordan Mailata, but that doesn't mean Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and Lane Johnson can't carve out some running lanes for you. Fucking rely on the offensive line. Go to old school football for a couple drives. I'm not even asking you to do it for a full game, and take the Giants out of the football game. But the Eagles, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the organization, Nick, Kellen, Jalen. I don't know what it is, man. They do not want to do that at all. They do not believe that what's worked in the game of football for 100 years works anymore. They believe it's their way or the highway, and that comes from the top. And that's why it's the same reason they brought Doug Peterson after winning the game. Why'd you do it this way? Because they believe their way is the only way and the best way. And that's a brutal approach for anything in life, by the way.
They always try reinventing the wheel. And guess what? Since 1920, run the ball, stop the run. You do those two dynamic things, you win the game.
Yeah. And it opens things up for your quarterback, man. Like,
everything.
Because I appreciate the people who comment, like, Jalen Hurts is only 25 or 26 years old. Like, he's still pretty young. Like, he does have a chance to learn a lot more and get a lot better. I respect that comment. I really do. But not if your team is not going to do the right things for you. Not if your team is not going to help you out in simple areas. Like, you come out and you're throwing 3 go routes in the first 5 plays. Why? Run the ball. Let the young quarterback see the game a little bit. But they don't do that at all, and that's why I question whether Jalen will ever grow. Because it's not as much on him. I think he would grow if he was coached properly. But the organization believes in what they believe, and they'll die on it. And it's going to be our downfall.
Dallas Goedert, and as you said, Dallas Goedert and Jordan Mailata are out. Impact of those two guys.
Confirmed it, by the way.
Impact of those guys, in your opinion, not being there. Goddard and Mailata. John Clark's reporting
they just were officially ruled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Goddard, Mailata.
Is there any updates on Slay?
Slay was a full participant today in practice, but it says Q for the game, which would be questionable. Now I think he's going to play.
That'll be game time decision, like to your point.
Yeah, he's a full participant today, though. I mean, I'd have a hard time believing. Now someone brought up this morning, and this would just be speculation. It wouldn't be me reporting anything or me even trying to criticize Slay, but it does seem like every time we go to MetLife, Slay's got some sort of nagging injury that comes up. I don't know. Maybe it's the player. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Who knows? The dude always openly criticized the field, which I'm fine with, but you're a professional. You still got to play, my friend. So go out there and play.
Xander, before we read the super chats here, how do you think Nick has handled the week? Hey, I mean, not.
You mean just
I'm
like
not,
in response to
I'm
what
not trying
went
to
on?
set you up to kill the guy. I'm just how do you think he's handled the week coming out of the bye, going into the performance that they had, that uninspired performance against the Browns, having to deal with all the things that went on with the so-called confrontation with the fan, whatever it was.
All right.
How do you think he's handled it this week?
Well, I think first of all, I think he did his team a major disservice, because if you go back and you watch the Browns tape, I know everybody wanted the bigger win, and it wasn't really the most pretty game. I think the team did a lot of things that you can build on in that game, and I pointed some of them out, but none of them have really been talked about this week because Nick made an ass of himself at the end of the game, and that's ultimately became the talking points. And then you add that with the 4-point win, the perception becomes negative on the team. I thought the team had probably their best overall game last week. Now, they weren't perfect. I'm not saying they were perfect, and maybe it highlights how mediocre we are as a team, but they did do some things I thought you could build on in that game, a lot more so than in previous weeks. There were no turnovers on offense. Jalen Hurts was 16 of 20 after starting 0 for 5. Very clean game for him. I mean, he completed almost 70% of his passes. And if you take out those first 5, which you can't do, I understand, he went on a 16 of 21, which is 80% completion. I thought there were things in that game, the young guys on defense, the tackling from the young dudes, Keely Ringo, Cooper DeJean. I mean, did you see that one play down in red zone where Cooper DeJean closed the gap? That was super impressive to me. I thought there were things in the game you could build on. And none of that has been talked about, or none of that has been reviewed because I think of the ass clown that Nick Sirianni is.
Can I tell
you? To answer your question, though, before you butt in, to answer your question, I think he's done a bad job because, you can't discount that stuff, and that takes away from your football team. And part of being a head coach is silencing the noise and the rat poison, as Nick Saban would talk about. And he doesn't do a good job at that at all. And maybe he's done okay in the pressers this week, but I can't listen to the dude anymore.
Here's how I look at a player, unlike you looked at it when you just said Cooper DeJean. Now, I think there's more of a sample size on Quinyon Mitchell, and it's why liking what I'm seeing with him. But Cooper DeJean, you mentioned some nice plays in the Browns game. I'm just going to tell you how a evaluator looks at a player. They'll look at that play and go, check one. They'll check out the game against the Giants and go, check two. They'll see him against the next opponent and go, well, now he's trending in an area where he's really good at pursuit. He's looking like he's somebody that understands tackling and angles. He does a nice job. He gets turned around a little bit. What you try to do, Xander, is build a profile up of a guy. You can't build anything up over one game because look at what Jalen Carter gives you.
Right.
One game he gives you, the Saints game, he turns around and gets annihilated by a very inferior offensive guard tandem of the Bucks, and he gets worked in that game. And then you turn around and you watch him against the Browns, and he was uninspiring against the Browns.
Yeah, very.
Not Carter, but Davis more so, was uninspiring against the Browns. So how I look at a guy, and I'm not going negative on Cooper. I just like to see. That's why when people go, Sills, do you think Hurts was paid too soon? Absolutely. I want to see more than 17 games. I want to see like 34 games before I drop $250 million. Because if you had to do that all over again, if you went through the 22 season and then you put the 23 season together, would you have given him $250 million? Man, after what I see, what they did with Trevor Lawrence and some of these other guys that have all these losing records, they probably would have. Okay? They probably would have given him that because they gave Murray that off of a losing record too. Now that I look at that, you had one here. Xander, I think he's 24, Hurts. And here's what I mean. His highest of highs is 22. His lowest of lows so far, and I'm not even going to go 21 because that's a first year starting.
Right.
I'm going to say 23. I think 24 is who he is.
Yeah. And you're not wrong to think that. I mean, you've brought up a good point. And if you took that 2022 season out, I mean, this dude is as pedestrian gets. That might even be generous. I mean,
the other 2.5 years have been average at best.
Yeah, you might be talking about like a career backup based on the other games that he's played outside of that 22 year. Now, I'm not going to cherry pick it out.
No,
he did do that, and he did prove that he has that type of upside. Now, the team has masked it, but I think you're probably right, Sills. I mean, this is probably who he is at this point, and that's why I'm trying to encourage the team, and then they're not going to listen to me, but I'm trying to encourage them to build around what he is and give yourself the best chance to win with the guy, and they're not going to do that.
But how about this, Xander, to what you just said before we read the Super Chats, 17 games, counting the playoffs, and then 39 regular season games, he's been average. There's more of a sample size on average play than there is on excellent play.
Way more of a sample size. I think it's not even close.
Right. I count 39 regular season NFL games, 9-7 his first year. Last year, they played 17. Now, he missed a couple games in that first year the 22 year he missed. He didn't miss the first year. He missed the 22 year. So about 39 games he's played in the regular season of average football. The other 17, those were ones that he played in 22 that were excellent. There's more of a sample size on this guy being common than there is on a sample size of this guy being exceptional and elite. I don't know where some of these fans are constantly still saying that when he's played more not bad games. He's played more average games in his career than good games. That's how I look at a player. I look at a player for what you have accomplished as an individual and what your strengths and weaknesses are, not based off of one freaking game.
No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, you've got to look at
saying that for years, man. I mean, you've been saying that for years, that you look at the full body of work, and, Hurts has done good things in his career, but I think this organization is so stuck in their philosophy that they never gave him the proper chance to get better as a quarterback. Now, he has his deficiencies, and you're probably going to live with those no matter what offense he lives in. But I think the Eagles could have done a lot.
They don't coach around him.
No, they don't at all. They don't at all. I mean, and it's evidenced by the way that they call their game plans. It's evidenced by, I mean, look, if you look at the first 10 plays of a game, right? Like those are said to be pre-scripted before the game, before you even start the game. That tells you all you need to know about what they're trying to do with him every week.
No doubt.
If they came out in those 10 plays and were like, we're going to run it down their throat, you would see what they were trying to do.
They spend the whole week on those
like crazy. What?
They spend the whole week on those games.
Exactly. And that's the best insight into what the Birds want to do. And it hasn't worked. And that's why we're the worst first quarter team in the NFL, which, by the way, I mean, is no small thing. I mean, you're talking about your team is ineffective for 25% of the game.
Slow starts.
Slow start. And we're talking about big slow starts, not just a couple drives. The whole first quarter.
And a football team that can't get behind because of their inexperienced defense.
Right. I mean, there's only 4 quarters in the game, Sills. You take yourself out of 1 quarter of them automatically. I mean, you're going to set yourself behind the 8 ball in a lot of games in this league. So they got to get that fixed. And I don't know if they will based on how they're trying to come out and attack teams. I really don't. I mean, if you're the if you're the Giants defense, I mean, you know exactly what you have to do to come in and stifle this offense.
Right.
You know exactly what you have to do. And as a defense, you're going to live with a couple go balls connecting with A.J. Brown, right? I mean, you can live with that. They're going to take away everything else, and it's not going to work from a full-scale thing.
Let's do the super chats here, my friend. By the way, guys, please hit the like button.
Dude keeps that Bob is right about that. Team believes in run, pass. They barely believe in the run first either, Bob. There's one dude in here who keeps putting his comment. I guess he stopped putting. Oh, here it is. JT, if you're still here, I was going to get to it, man. You just got to let me get to the end of the segment. JT says, Xander or Sills, how come in 22, all I ever heard from coaches was Hurts was in the building 24/7? I never hear this anymore from the coaches or anybody. Disappointing. Sills, your take.
JT, you want me to give a guy pats on the back for doing his job? I mean,
yeah, but here's the reality, Sills.
I think
he's not in there all the time anymore. I mean, look, this is why when you pay a quarterback, you want him to have inherent skills and talent, because sponsorships get in the way. The guy's engaged now. He was on a TV show. He's on commercials all over the city. Family, big house out in the suburbs. Jalen Hurts has other shit going on now, JT. That's the reality. And I'm not going to kill him for it because life gets in the way. I get that. I mean, they should be committed, but life is going to get in the way. You're not going to be able to spend every waking minute at the facility your entire career, but you got to have talent. And now that he's not doing that, you're seeing why he's not developing and progressing as a quarterback. And I think you're right. And I'm not a reporter and I'm not at the facility every day, so I don't know if Hurts isn't there as much. But the common perspective would be, yeah, a lot of stuff has now been added to Jalen Hurts' play.
Remember what Boomer Esiason said? He's going to have to learn how to play with his contract. And I don't think he's done it.
And look, I mean, he's appearing on all over the place, on commercials and all sorts of stuff. And that's fine, but that's taken away from him for sure. And you definitely don't hear that.
Do you agree with this take care by guy here?
Yes, he did. That's basically what Kurt said. And Kurt went into that trying to be nice because of how much backlash. Like, he put out the most simple tweet ever and referenced Jalen. And they started crushing Kurt on Twitter. They actually tried to put words in his mouth.
How quick?
He had to correct some people. So he came into that video knowing,
How quick did it turn the race?
What you mean? On more turn. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of it did. I didn't look that deep, but people were trying to say that he was saying Jalen Hurts was dumb and all these things. And look, when people break down the tape for what the tape shows, I don't think anybody, regardless of your race, religion, or creed, should give a flying fuck about anything that doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. The tape is the tape, and the reality is the reality.
Hurts is not dumb. He's just not a good passing quarterback.
He's not a good processor of the game. I mean,
absolutely not. He doesn't see the field.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been saying that since he started.
So you would actually enjoy that YouTube video.
I'm gonna take a look at it because
I'll send you the link.
By the way, Kurt's been on our program.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. You'll enjoy it. It's not too long, and he really does highlight the issues here, and they're a lot bigger than most people would want to believe. Let's go to our super chats. Brian Pumper checks in. Hurts don't work on his craft anymore. Okay, he has a kid. I don't even know. Does he have a kid? I never heard that. He needs to focus on football. All of Philly's well-being is in his noodle arms.
I guess Brian is out on Jalen
Well,
Hurts.
Brian, that's typically why when you pay a quarterback, you want him to be uber talented.
Yeah.
Because other shit is going to get in the way, and you
Yeah.
got to be able to have a great talent to continuously be successful in a league like the NFL. Talent trumps all. It's a talent league. That's what it is.
Hey, Brian, I told you, you don't have to have a spectacular football team, but if you've got a great quarterback, you can win a Super Bowl.
Dude, look at this delusion. I can't even, Lord Von, I can't even deal with your level of delusion, my friend. Reality, LOL. Reality is we have the best offensive roster in the league. Okay, Lord. Why are we averaging 21 points a game? Why?
Lying. He's lying. You do not have the best roster.
No, he's in delusion land is where he is. He's literally in delusion land.
And your offensive line is not what you think it is. You don't run the ball like you do. You don't have a top flight running game.
When we get going, stay on that side. Yeah, thanks for telling me how to be a fan.
Okay, when you get going,
you're not. I'll make sure I take your opinion to the bank and cash that check.
Let's go on to another one here, Xander.
Clary Voice says Nick needs a hype vid. He founded the 22 playbook.
Hey, Clairvoy. I mean, once again, it's about players also. Nick is a product of his players like Belichick is a product of his players. You think Bill Belichick's any lesser of a coach when he didn't have Tom Brady than when he had Tom Brady? He's the same.
I got an update for you.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata has been placed on the injury reserve. What's that?
Holy shit. It's out for the year.
No. Injured reserve, I thought was 4 games, right? Minimum?
4 weeks?
4 weeks minimum, I believe, is what that would mean.
I think you're right. You're right.
I don't think that's a year.
You're right. But I told you it'd be a month. Remember I told you when we saw it on Sunday, it'd be a month.
Jalen Carter's good to go Sunday, by the way.
Good shoulder?
Yeah, he's good. He's fine.
Okay. That's right. You're right. You're right. I'm right.
Yeah. All right. So it's going to be 4 weeks minimum.
He's been placed on the same thing that Tua was placed on.
Yeah, and now they have to activate him. They have to open up the practice window and all that stuff to get him off that. So
right.
But the 4 weeks is going to be the minimum here.
Through that window, then he's gone for the year.
So now you're looking at Fred Johnson as your starting left tackle. I wonder if potentially they move Mekhi. Because this is a little longer term.
Let's see how this game plays against what Fred does against Brian Burns.
Fred's going to get. If I'm Brian Burns right now, he's like this, licking his chops.
Absolutely.
Right now, looking at the Fred Johnson tape. I know Fred Johnson's a great story. Everybody.
I'm running games over there too, by the way, with my tackles and my linebackers and seeing if he can pick that shit up. Okay.
Yeah, just let me give you a quick. I'd like to give you guys real quick the numbers on Fred Johnson, which are not good. I know everybody thinks he's a fun story and everything. So Fred Johnson has played in 3 games this year: Saints, Bucks, Browns. Saints was the game that Lane went down in. Bucks was the game that Lane missed. And last week he came in for Mailata and he only played 5 snaps. So these are the numbers, right? In the Saints game, he was decent. He came in, he had 33 pass block snaps. He had 1 penalty, no sacks given up. He gave up 5 pressures on 33 snaps, okay? Buccaneers game, he played the full game. 38 pass blocking snaps. He gave up 2 sacks and 11 pressures. 11 pressures.
Wow.
Last week, he played 5 pass block snaps and gave up 2 pressures on those 5 snaps. Fred Johnson is a career backup. He is not. We are not in a good position with him at tackle. So if I'm, like I said, if I'm Brian Burns or the Eagles and you're game planning for Brian Burns, they're going to want to probably give him help, or if you can't help, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quicker.
2 tight ends.
They're going to do it.
2 tight end set and 3-step drops will help that with getting the ball out of the hands.
Quick.
Don't forget, Dave Wannstedt's going to join us here at 4:30.
Yeah, let's roll through these quick because I got to get out of here. Clary Voy checks in. Appreciate it, Claire. He says, schedule of the biggest bust QB signings: Danny Dimes, Dak, Lawrence, Burrow, health, Jalen in conversation. No one has his talent on offense.
Who are you saying, Jalen?
I guess he's saying he's a bust.
Jalen,
don't tell me Joe.
Listen. Here, Clairvoy. I would say this: Dimes and Dak and Lawrence and Jalen. This is what the NFL is right now. You've got 5 guys that are great, and the rest of them are just decent. and you're overpaying for him.
Yep, no doubt. Prince says, that's my top 10. You owe him an apology, Xander. Prince.
Shut up, you backslapping hump. What do you want? This guy wants kudos for being once and right in what?
I'll give him Prince. Do I want to give Prince an apology?
No. If Nick won't, wait. Well, I don't know. If you want to be Nick, go ahead. Apologize to this guy here.
The worst list I've ever seen in my life. Prince.
Hey, Bigelow checks in.
Appreciate you, Daniel, my fellow Rangers fan. He says, average 21 points per game, and we scored, what, 34 in week 1? LMAO, sad. He's right. That's bolstering that thing up. That thing would be down at 17, 18 points per game if you didn't have that output in week 1. I'm not going to play the if game. So
21 points a game. Okay. Yeah. Hey, do me a favor. Score more than 21 points against the Gigantes. We'll see.
Oh, we just hit on that. How's that for an ROI, Big Sills? 175, and you're getting 21 a game. Wow.
That good. New coordinator,
Anthony
too.
Wilson checks in. Appreciate you, Anthony. He says, Sills, Slayton and Robinson are better than Campbell and Dotson.
Who is Slayton and who is Robinson?
Well, here's what I will say, because everybody dismisses
because
them.
The quarterback's better.
Here, let me just give you some numbers, because these dudes aren't as bad as people say. I will say, now they weren't good.
Quarterback's better.
Yeah, well, here. Darius Slayton has 24 catches, 301 yards, and a touchdown this year. Solid output in 6 games. Not great, not brutal. Wan'Dale Robinson's a good slot guy. He has 37 catches already in 6 games.
Okay. This guy, Anthony, indicted Hurts again by saying when you don't have Devontae and AJ, he can't make Campbell and Dotson better, but this guy makes Slayton and Robinson better when Malik's not out there. Holy shit. Thank you, Anthony, for the content. You indicted your quarterback in his noodle arm again. Case closed. Nice. You dude. Campbell and Dotson are nobody. Slayton and Robinson are third wide receiver guys that the quarterback is making better. Your guy can't make Campbell and Dotson better. You indicted your own quarterback.
Anthony, appreciate it, brother. Brian says, Grant Calcaterra, you didn't get these, right? Grant Calcaterra, Fred Johnson versus Brian Burns. Kenny Two Gloves better get warmed up. 7 sacks for the Giants. Book it. Hurts under 100 yards.
No way. No way. He's not going to throw for under 100 yards. No way.
John says, talent means nothing if you cannot put it to use. Amen to that, brother. And then we got that right. If the Giants win the toss and choose the kick, we know it. We got that right.
Yeah. Hey, the only way that they're going to score a touchdown is if this happens. I defer. Go ahead.
P. Diddy's burner. Oh, God. He says, the Eagles' offense uses more baby oil than I do.
Really wormy. Really wormy. Okay. No good. All right. Coach,
what was your question, bro? I'll answer it if you give me it real quick.
Go ahead, man.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the question, Sean.
Once you answer.
Oh, right. There we go. So, Xander, let me ask you a question. How many points did we score against Green Bay? I mean, good, Sean. Yeah, we scored 34. It was a decent output.
First game of the year. Different team.
First game of the year. I mean,
completely different team now.
In Brazil versus shoddy defense on a shoddy field. I mean, look, Sean.
Different game.
Because I appreciate the point. He's trying to say, look, this is what we can be. But here's the point. And it's the same thing you said.
But that's like saying that the 10-1 Eagles were the same as the 1-7 Eagles.
We have a bigger body of work than one game, Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Dismiss all the other stuff.
Sean, you're saying to me that you think you're as good as the team that beat Green Bay in the first week? Well, here, let me give you more of a litmus test. Last year you were 10-1, and last year you sucked at the end. Which team were you? Doesn't really matter who you play in week 1. Yeah. It's who you're playing in January and how you're playing in January. Whoever you beat, whatever quarterback you beat, it doesn't matter until you get to the championship months. You know when championship months are in this league? December, January, and February. Nobody gives a fuck about a September 6th game.
Dude, it's a healthy team. Welcome to the NFL, Sean. Nobody's healthy. Nobody.
Look at the Rams right now.
Let me get out of here because Dave Wannstedt's coming up. Can't wait to hear Dave. Before I get out of here, big shout out to Mad Bird, who's in the chat. I think he's in the chat. He might not be in the chat right this second. Mad Bird just placed a big ass order of JAKIB merch. He's going to be decked out head to toe, and he got the new design I put up yesterday, the bleed green hoodie with the white logo. So it's on black, and it looks really good. So big shout out to you, Mad Bird, if you're listening. Appreciate your support of the channel, brother. And it was great talking to you on the post game show, and hopefully I'll get you back up soon.
Gotcha, brother. I appreciate it, Xander. We will catch you on the pre and the post-game show on Sunday. Don't forget Birds 365. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. Mad Bird, really cool. Thank you again. Xander, thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, Sills. Great stuff, everybody. Let's get that win. Oh, by the way, my score prediction. Did I give you that? I did. 27-21. I did give it, but 27-21, man.
You got it. Thank you, Xander. Guys, do me a favor. Dave Wannstedt is going to join us. We'll talk a little bit about Vic Fangio and that style some of you hate. 3-time Super Bowl champion, defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys, former head coach of the Dolphins and the Chicago Bears will be next. Hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLEX. Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. We're going to effort our friend Dave Wannstedt, the former defensive coordinator of Dallas Cowboys, owner of 3 Super Bowls, former head coach of the Bears. Caleb Williams really doing a great job. By the way, he works also on the pre- and post-game show for the Bears. And also former head football coach of the Miami Dolphins. Jason Cole will join us at 5:30. No Philly Godfather. He had an emergency today, so Jason's going to fill that role. We'll have him at 5:30. Please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys so much. Real quick, you think Giant fans boo Saquon Barkley Sunday when he goes back home? Barkley, by the way, was one of the most revered and loved players over the last 7-8 years in New York. Tiki Barber's full of shit. Tiki Barber was arguably one of the most hated players in the NFL. Nobody liked that guy. Okay? They love Barkley. Okay? Do you think they boo him? I think they're going to give him his respect that he carried the mail for that offense for a couple of years and that they really didn't do a good enough job. And personally, I'll say this after watching Barkley in Philadelphia, I'll make this point to you. I personally think they let Barkley down. Seeing what he's capable of doing with a competent group of players like the Eagles have and putting him in an offense when you got quality guys around him, Barkley is a great player. I was wrong about him. Okay, I was wrong about him. Barkley, he is the second player in the draft. Okay? He's got that ability of giving players around him. It's a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. You have to have quality people like that around him. Make no mistake about it. They let him down. And I think Giant fans will probably give him his kudos. Then they'll go to booing him if he starts making plays. But there's a love-hate relationship now. And what the media has tried to do is paint him as some sort of villain. Hey, man, it was the Giants who didn't want him back. Okay, it was the Giants who didn't want him back. So when you make that comment, okay, you make that comment, you saw it there on the Hard Knocks. You saw that on the Hard Knocks, on how it was displayed like that. All right, do me a favor, hit the like button. We're going to talk here. We hope here with our friend Dave Wannstedt, we'll get him aboard here with us, and we'll talk a little bit of defense, some national football stuff. I want to talk to him most notably about Vic Fangio here, so hopefully we can catch up with him. I got a question for you here on Sirianni. And I just want to do an overview of something here. Ask yourself this. How many people do you think were watching the head coach on Sunday with that confrontation with the Eagle fans? People were watching that, right? Cameras, national media was watching it. You had the Fox crew watching it. You had all of that, right? All those people were watching him. And you make a decision like that? What are you doing when the cameras aren't on you? How are you acting when the cameras aren't on you? Are you acting immature like that too when the cameras aren't on you? I mean, just think about that decision making. I mean, the entire country's watching you. And those are the decisions you make? How about when the cameras aren't on you and you're behind the scenes? How are you conducting yourself? What decisions are you making? What conversations are you having with your quarterback or your coordinators? Are you making proper decisions then as well or not? Because the decision that you're making to do something like that, by the way, to me, I don't really care what he said. I'm more about why and making the right decisions. That's what my issue is. Okay? That's my issue. When you look at that, is that where are you coming with that? AJ, despite of Hurts, not because of him. Crowley. Let me some coach. Hopefully we get him up here now. We can get him up here. Please hit the like button, guys. Niners are an average football team right now. Their record proves it, regardless of what Sills thinks. 49ers are not average. They beat the fucking shit out of you. You can't beat the Bucks. What are you then? What are you if you can't beat the Bucks? Okay? Then what are you, Sean? You can't beat Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Then who are you? You make that comment. Coach will be with us in 5 minutes. Okay? The Vikings have a better resume right now. We beat the shit out of the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Look at this guy. You beat, okay? Wait a second here. You beat the shit out of, you didn't beat the shit out of them. You had 240 yards in total offense. Okay? You did not beat the shit out of them. And they turned around and crushed you last year. Our record shows we're an above average team. You're the worst 3-2 team right now in the league. You're not better than San Francisco. I'm not sure you're better than Cincinnati. Yeah, okay. Hey, keep talking about games that happened a year and a half ago. Yeah, that'll get you somewhere. Yeah, that'll get you somewhere. 3.5 years ago. Seals, do you read records of teams? No, I don't care. No, I want to know how you're playing now, because that will dictate how you're going to play in December and January and February. No, like I look at Kansas City last year. They were not playing well, but they righted the ship. They were playing like a championship team in December and January. That's how you look at a team. You don't look at a team in September and go, well, that team's better than this team. That's not true. It's like the guy who said, we beat Green Bay. Dude, Green Bay has no significance on week 7 in the NFL. That's no significance. The only significance it has is it's an NFC team. That's it. Dude, this is about how you're playing towards the end of the year, not how you're playing October 18th or going into the weekend. And right now, you're not playing at full level right now when it comes to both sides of the football. Your offense sputters. They don't score enough points. And your defense is bottom 5. We play Cincinnati soon. We'll find out. Burrow's a heck of a quarterback. I don't believe they play good enough defense to win. There's problems in Cincinnati, and it's on the defensive side. It comes down to the owner being cheap. Okay? Now, that's not true. This is what Sean says. Sills, that's what I mean. Current records are an idea of where you're going. And every season is different. You continue to live in the past. I'm not living. You're living in the past. Let's just go by last year. Last year, you had no indication of where you were going. You were 10-1. Then you finished 1-7. You had an idea where you were going? That's a lie. You thought you were going back to the NFC title game, Sean. You were nowhere close to it. So when Sean says that, he's not telling the truth. Again. Dude, your record has no indication in the NFL. This is not college football. Tom Brady's team was 19-0, and they got beat by a 10-6 Giants team. Nobody cared. They got beat by a 10-6 Giants team. Why? Because the Giants had played them the final game of the regular season, and they saw their tendencies, and they were able to game plan off it. And they could rush the passer, and Eli's a streaky quarterback. That's how they beat him. Dude, the league, again, your record sometimes doesn't dictate anything of where you are in the league. Holy shit. Dude, Sean, your football. Hey, Sean, do you think your football team is an NFC championship contending team? Because I don't. I'm not sure you're a playoff team. Here, look at this. Saints started 2-0 and now we're 2-5. Don't tell Sean that, because it's an indicator of who you are. It's an indicator. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Has no idea what he's talking about. It's a great take right there. It's an absolutely great take. By the way, injuries to Jordan Mailata. I'm going to say it one more time to you before I get Coach Wannstedt on. Here's the one thing I'll say about Nick Sirianni. And I want to say it again about him, going and confronting all that stuff, which I've never seen a head coach, college or pro, do shit like that ever, confronting his own fan base. I'm going to make a point to you. What does that coach do in private when the lights aren't on him if he makes decisions like that? You know what I do as a player? I look at that coach and I go, shit, man, and a guy like me who's a maniac, my coach has to have a little bit more of an even keel. Can't get too high, can't get too low. I see a guy like that going up and down. Hey, that's for me to be a psycho. That's for me. It's not my coach to be a psycho. You know, before I get Coach Wannstedt on again, I got to tell you, one of the fortunate things that I was around guys who looked you in the face and said, and never hollered at. I never got hollered at. Well, a couple games. I'll say that, a couple games. But this is what these guys told you. The guy behind you could do a better job. I'll tell you one quick story. Selwyn Brown. We had a kid at Miami. Here's Coach Johnson. He was sitting next to me and Jerome. Hey, Selwyn, is there anything we need to do to help you? Selwyn goes like this. This had to do with the Fiesta Bowl and all. Someone goes, what the hell was that? I looked over at him. I go, I don't want two more of them things. All of a sudden, Coach Johnson comes back over and goes, Selwyn, is there anything I can do? And he looked over at me again, and I went like this. I started moving away. And then the guy comes over to me. Third time, he was second team. What happened? I go, hey, that wasn't going to work like that with them guys. Once they love you, man, they're going to go, hey, you ain't cutting it, kid. So privileged to do that. By the way, you know what Dave said too? Dave said, don't blame Vic Fangio's scheme if your defense is 29th. Blame the players. This is not a schematic thing. Let's find out what he meant by that. My former coordinator, Super Bowl champion and a national champion, head coach of the Bears and head coach of the Miami Dolphins. By the way, the last coach to win a playoff game for the Fins on the road is Coach Wannstedt. Let's bring him in now. We so appreciate it. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it, my friend.
Good to be here, Danny. Absolutely. Let me raise this up a little bit if I can. Go ahead.
Coach, tell me. You made a comment on our program the last time you were on, and you said something about scheme when it came to Vic Fangio. People are a little bit aggravated with the scheme that Vic has because it's too high safety. They play 10-yard zone off the football. There's not a lot of pressure because he doesn't really bring a lot of blitzing. And you said, well, you hired the guy because you hired that philosophy. And then you turned around and you said, this won't be a scheme thing. What did you mean by that, Coach? When you said that this won't be a scheme thing, this will be more of a talent issue thing.
Yeah, I tell you, well, Vic has got a track record of knowing what he's doing, right? And had some of the best defenses that have been coached in this league. And yes, there has to be a give and take. Let me say that. So, I mean, if you got a guy that, if you can't get enough pressure with four, you got to find a way to bring pressure, you know, a linebacker or safety. So I'm going to say that. And Vic will do that. I mean, he'll play cover one and he'll bring pressure when he has to. But if you're in your base package and guys are getting blocked, you know, then you got to get better players or you got to replace them. I mean, it's really pretty simple in my mind. So I don't know. I think that whole thing in Philadelphia, I heard you talking about Sirianni, and I don't know him. I've never met him. All that I know is when I learned this a long time ago, coaching, a long time ago. Before I was with Jimmy, actually it was my college coach, Coach Johnny Majors, who I first worked for.
Pitt.
At Pitt. And he said, you know what, guys? He was talking to all the assistant coaches. He says, because we were under some pressure there to win big, and we did. We won the national championship, but there was a lot of pressure coming in. And he says, you guys just remember one thing. Don't ever show a crack in your armor. And, you know, the minute that you show that, the media is going to jump on it. The fans are going to jump on it. It's going to reflect on your players, you know, the assistant coaches. you can't do that. As tough as it is, maybe, as much as it's killing you, you can't show a crack in the armor as the head coach. And I think that's what happened there. It was very obvious to everybody that, that there's a crack. And hopefully they can get it fixed. We'll see.
Coach, can you recover from something like that if you're a head coach? Can you? Because I agree with you 1,000% that, the one thing you always want to show is stability, because the one guy in the building that has to have the stability with the players, because there's so much emotions that flow around offensively and defensively in that building. Can you recover from something like that?
Well, the tough thing is what happened there was, if he said it on a radio show, I don't know, 90% of the people listening to the radio show aren't going to the games. They aren't buying tickets, Dan, right? But you say that in a stadium, those are the people that are paying their salaries, right? And you can't lose sight of that. I mean, if there's no fans, coaches are done. The game's done. I mean, so of all places, I mean, I don't know if it was our first or second year at Dallas. I don't know if you were with us then. As we went up to play Philly, and they were throwing the snowballs at Jimmy, and they had batteries in them.
Yeah.
And the police were trying to cover his head from getting hit in the head with batteries. I mean, it's probably the toughest place from a fan perspective. So if you think you're going to win that battle against the Philadelphia Eagle fans, I don't know what you're dreaming, because that's not going to happen. They booed Santa Claus. If they're going to come after Santa Claus' ass, they're going to come after you.
Coach, in your opinion, when it comes to bringing pressure with a style of Vic, and I brought this up with you, and you tell me if you changed, because I remember you telling me the story that you're out on your run with Jimmy and all the coaching staff was there, and you suggested, hey, man, maybe we should try the 34. And Jimmy went like this. No, we're going to stick to it. And, Coach, that year we went 1-15. But then 3 years later, Coach, you won a Super Bowl with the same defense and the same scheme. Did you change anything from that? Because to me, it was just – I said to people, Coach Wannstedt just got better players.
Yeah, no, that's exactly – you're 100% right. I mean, I was so frustrated because we were having a tough time stopping people. We were having a tough time doing everything, offense, defense, special teams. But, I was responsible for the damn defense. And I said that to Jimmy because, the NFL goes through phases. And when the Niners were winning everything, they were playing that under defense, right? And at that time, when I made this statement, it was the Giants. And Parcells and Belichick were running the 3-4. And, so I said to Jimmy, I said, maybe is this, and he said, let me tell you something. We know more about our defense than anybody in this league. I got to go out. And he put it on himself. He says, I got to go out and get you guys better players. And that's what he did. We got better players except for probably one position. Come on over here a minute. Come here, Tony. Come on.
God. There he is.
No way.
Yes way.
No way.
Move over so you're in the screen. You're not in the screen. There.
Coach, what? Let me. I have waited to see you for decades. Let me tell
38
the folks.
years.
Yeah, Coach, let me tell the folks about this guy. This guy used to run my ass in practice, and he would say, if you don't give us the best effort, and you know what I used to do? I used to torture his offensive linemen, and you know what he did for me? He got me a scholarship at the University of Miami because of what I did during that time. Coach, you and
Dan Sileo, how are you, babe?
How you doing, Coach?
Where are you coming from?
San Diego.
What?
Yeah. San Diego.
What part of San Diego?
Escondido.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know a guy in where's our buddy?
North.
In
Del Mar.
Yeah, Del Mar. Coach
Del Mar.
Turner's.
Del Mar. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Del Mar.
Nice
It's right
spot.
down the street from me.
Yeah.
Coach, let me ask you a question about Jeff Stoutland. What's your take on him as an offensive line coach in the NFL today?
He's outstanding. He's outstanding. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think he's outstanding.
How about this, Coach? Jimmy Johnson said something on this program, and Coach Wannstedt sitting right there. You know what he said the most important coach was I had on my coaching staff? You.
Well, Dan, okay, nice jersey. I love the jersey there. Okay.
No, he said this. The most important coach you can have on a staff is your O-line coach.
Dave and Jimmy would often say, because you have to deal with more positions, right? The secondary coach and the line coach are the two most important because they have, you have groups that you have to fit together. So that is 100% right, yes. And then, as you know, you have to take guys, and the guy may not be the best his freshman year, but by the time he's a junior, he's got to be starting for you. So it is important that you have a tough guy, a smart guy, a guy that the players like and respect. That is important.
We never recruited any offensive linemen either. We recruit double defense and just move the ones that couldn't play and give them to Tony.
I know they go like this. Gary Mahon can't play D-line. Here, Coach Weiss, he's your guy.
Thank you very much. And then he's pissed off for about a week, and then he finally comes around and says, okay, I'll go ahead and try to block somebody.
Absolutely. Coach, did you have more fun coaching at the college level, developing younger talent, or did
college,
you have
mostly college? We go to the meeting at Miami underneath the stairs, okay, with a little drip as it came down, okay, a little drip. Sully, Matt Patchen, all the guys, Bobby Garcia, John O'Neill.
Bertolucci?
It's more fun.
Yeah, I those were some of the best times, Coach. What I remember the most about all of you guys was, and I say this to Coach Wannstedt and Butch. Butch was on too, and as I said, Jimmy comes on all the time. The coolest thing about you guys was you guys are the same people to me today.
That's correct.
When I was 19 years old.
Yes.
Nothing's ever changed. You're my friends today. You were my friends then. A little harder on me then, which I needed it, of course, to get my ass kicked every now and then.
Yes, you did. Yes.
But and Jimmy says I was a handful, so I'm sure you'll
But you had talent. You were a tough guy. You had talent. So, we put up with some things. And the defensive line, as you know, is a different crowd.
Well, here, I'm going to let you see this hat here because this is my running partner, Jerome Brown, and I had to put this bad puppy on here, even though I'm pissed off at Coach Wannstedt right now for that Pitt thing. But then again, you remember that game, right? We went up there in 86, and hey, how about this, Coach?
So we're up there for what, 240?
No, 250 something. Hang on. So get this, we beat them 37-3.
Right.
So I told Coach Wannstedt this. So we're sitting at the end of the game. All the Gatorade things are set up. He comes stumbling in there, man, and I just remember him going, "You mother." Flipping tables, go, you made that guy look like fucking Tony Dorsett. Holy what? And I go, I looked at Jerome, Coach, and I went, we did win 37-3, right?
And he did have a pretty good NFL career.
Yeah, Ironhead was a hell of a player, and his kid's kicking ass now with the Steelers now.
Yes.
Coach, when you got to Dallas and you were building that old line, Coach, you remember this? They had a guy by the name of Tom Rafferty there, and they moved over Stebnowski. By the way, Jimmy put something in the book, and I kill him every day because I killed that kid when he was at Pitt. I had 10 tackles on him. I got Ironhead in the backfield. Then again, he did run for a bunch of yards. But when I got there to Dallas, he couldn't snap the ball to save his life. You guys moved him over to center, and you had me go on top of him, and he couldn't get that ball back because I pinned his arm. He turns out later on, Coach Weiss turns him into an all-pro.
Dan, you are extremely kind, but he was an awfully good player the day he arrived. All I did was just kind of say, okay, Step, you're in the lineup.
I don't know
he
about
was a great
that.
player. He was a great player. I didn't realize
you had to move
the hell out of
because
him as bad as you did.
He was good. He was good, okay? Was he better than Crawford Kerr?
Yes. because he could remember the plays.
Big Daddy. That was
Oh my God. Coach, how cool is it that you all three, all of you get together? I know Coach Axe and Coach Brodsky and those guys,
Right.
Forever in our hearts,
Yes.
always forever. But how cool is that you guys go down to Almirada and you can sit around with Jimmy and you guys all get together to this?
That's athletics. I mean, that's, as you know, that's what football is. And yes, it's a special time. It's a special time. The stories and your name may come up every now and then. And then we move on to another subject.
There was 1,000 with Danny. It comes up more now and then. Trust me.
Right.
Okay. Your name comes up more than now and then. Okay. But one of them is when we're getting ready to play Cincinnati up there.
Oh yeah.
And Dan turns to me and says, "Yeah, hey coach, we're warming up or something and just jacking around." And he says, "Coach, I lived up in that dorm there." Jimmy's standing there. He says, "You went to Cincinnati too?" And Dan says, "Buddy, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just visiting a friend."
No. I went there and I remember.
Don't tell me you got a game ball from.
I got a game ball. I got a game ball from that. Actually, Coach Johnson gave me 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 game balls. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 4 game balls. Florida State, Florida. I got one for
You got
Oklahoma.
4 game balls?
Yeah. Those are all from Jimmy. Yeah.
He was in the backfield.
Hold on. You swear you didn't get those at a swap meet.
No, I didn't get those. Coach, I had 100 tackles one. You know what? Do it. How many times did Greg Riccozzi come back and go like this? Greg Riccozzi used to be our center, and Greg Riccozzi would say this: "You're better than Ruth, Mike Ruth. You're better than you see it."
You were an outstanding player. There's no doubt about that. You had explosion, strength, change of direction. Yes, you were a very good player. Yeah,
and they would all come back and all tell me that, and that was one of the greatest times of my life, is being around all you guys. Coach,
you better believe it.
Coach, you ever think you'll ever see anything like that again, where you guys?
No, never.
You know, my wife said the same thing. She's like, we were 4 deep. I had Cortez Kennedy and Russell Maryland behind me.
I know it. Yeah.
That's how insane that shit was.
Yeah.
I mean, and Coach,
And
we always thought they never really. I mean,
remember Jimmy Jones?
Hell of a football player. I mean, even Willis Pegues would go on and play in the National Football League.
Right.
For
Willis
a while.
didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he went on to play. I mean, Shane Curry, God rest his soul, he came over from Georgia.
Shane Curry.
He played too. But you know, Coach, one thing they never did for you, you know, those guys, Dave is one of the greatest recruiters along with Butch. How come you always got the hand-me-downs of everyone else over on that side of the ball, and you always had to make chicken soup out of chicken
Don't say
shit.
that. That's disrespectful.
You know I'm kidding. I love those guys,
you're
Paul
kidding,
O'Neill.
But too many people say that. But I understand. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
You know I love Paul O'Neill. You know I love those guys. Okay.
John O'Neill.
Yeah, John O'Neill. Excuse me. You know I love John.
That's
I mean, Paul and those guys and all them guys. I mean, absolutely. Those guys were fantastic.
I talked to Greg at the reunion and saw one of my Scott Proven, one of my all-time favorites. Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll ask you two this. So for you, Dave is a 3-ring guy. So I'm going to ask you, because you're a 2-ring guy. And what I mean by that is a national title.
Yes.
And a Super Bowl.
Yes.
What ring means most to you?
That's damn. These damn questions you got for crying out loud. I told you, coaching in college was more fun. To be in the Rose Bowl and beat those guys, and then have all this. You know, remember Garth Brooks was there and Michael Jackson at halftime. It was a little different, yes.
How about you, Coach Wannstedt? Player when you won for Pitt because that's your alma mater? Or was it Miami one? Or was it the Super Bowl?
Well, I had a lot more to do with the Miami and Super Bowl, those two, obviously. You know, I was just getting started at Pitt, you know. But, I agree with Tony. It's so rewarding. I mean, just to think that you're the best that there is in your sport, in the entire country. I mean, that doesn't happen. It doesn't. Coaches coach all their lives.
What about that beer tap you have there?
Oh, well, you think that thing's not used? What do you? Me and Stubbs. Hey, how many times Coach Wannstedt would say like this? Smells like a goddamn brewery over here. We two. What's going on? What's going on with you two? I'm like, Stubbs, man, this guy will drink his ass off, man. Oh, and you didn't have any of it. No, I didn't have any. I don't know. And Coach Wannstedt would go like this. Well, Sileo, if you weren't as talented as you were, I could eat a bowl of soup off your head. You and Jerome here. So check this out here. I showed Coach Wannstedt this. You know what this is? This is the very first training camp. Right there.
Yeah.
June 17th, Dallas
1989.
Cowboys. And that plush place known as what's
Valley
that?
Ranch.
Yeah. No, not Valley Ranch. Where'd we go to camp? We went to
California.
California. Cal Lutheran? What was
Cal
it?
Lutheran.
Cal Lutheran. It's the first time we go out there, guys. Jimmy goes, no way. This is not happening. This is a country club. We'll never stay here again. That was the end of that. I think you guys only stayed out there 2 more years because I think you guys moved the thing to San Marcos because
no, we moved it to Austin.
But it was too nice. It was country club out there. Jimmy goes like this, the weather's too good. Nobody's gonna get in shape out here. No way.
Yeah, just how about the date on that letter compared to today's NFL? No, go ahead. What's the date you were reporting?
June 17th.
Think about that. When did they report now?
Shit, they report for 2 days and then they leave. I mean,
that's a month earlier. You went to training camp a month earlier than what they're going today. At least a month.
And from what I understand, they only have controlled practices today, Coach, where you can only have contact practices where you guys.
And certain times you can put pads on.
Yep.
Coach, when you went 1-15. And you won the Super Bowl there in Pasadena. How much of a reward was that with all the hard work? Because people were saying, and I remember this, people were saying, you guys are college guys. You guys don't know what you're doing. Nobody believes this thing here.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. So it was very nice that when everything came through and all we just did the stuff we did at Miami and Oklahoma State. And, we did the same stuff.
What do you guys make
the same and everything? Yeah,
Coach. What do you make of what Miami's doing right now? Mario Cristobal.
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yes.
There's way too much chains and all that stuff like that instead of just tackling, running, and completing passes. I mean, they're a little bit too much living in the past, and we got to go out and, just play ball.
I'll tell you one thing. Coach Wannstedt would do. Every single practice, it would be Coach Campo, who I talk to all the time too.
Good.
Coach Campo and Dave would sit up there with the ball, and they'd have Butch, and they'd put some of the receivers. First 30 minutes of the practice, we would practice pursuit drills. Practice pursuit.
Remember string out drills?
String out. How about those inside drills, Coach?
Yes.
I look up one time. I see coach from Penn State, Joe Paterno. I look up. I see Switzer. This is during the spring. I see Lou Holtz. I see all these guys. And I heard one of these coaches going, how do you get these guys to practice so hard? You know what I told Coach Holtz? I went, you see the guys that got behind me? I mean, I go, hey, you see the guys we have behind us back here, man? That's why we all played our ass off. But Coach, you can't do those inside drills like we did. Those were just my toughest game was Wednesday and Thursday.
Yes, I believe that. Yes.
I mean,
and that's the way it's supposed to be. Yes.
Coach Stevens and all them guys.
Yeah.
I never realized, Coach, how great my coaching staff was. But I say this
that's
one more
normal. That's
no,
normal.
Well, here, I'll tell you this. I had the greatest coaching staff in college football history. Because all of you guys have proven that you've gone on to other places and done other things. And I've never seen guys who are better recruiters and talent evaluators. How many guys, Coach Wannstedt, did we have come in there? And you just look up and you go, 2 years, these guys are first-round draft choices, and they're going in the National Football League. And then what Dave did when he went to Pitt.
Yes.
When Butch went to when Butch went to Carolina. Look what he did to
And
Carolina.
then when he
there.
came back to Miami.
Yeah, look at Sean Taylor, all them
Yes.
guys, Ray Lewis and them guys. What made that so that you guys were so good at talent evaluators back then? Because you don't really see that with an entire coaching staff put together like that. I mean, you guys were with Jimmy.
Jimmy did not worry about size.
No.
And the number of offers you had. That was his great thing, that if, even if you had I was recruited by Kansas, Memphis, but Jimmy said that you can make plays. Maurice Crum.
Yeah. Short guy.
Perfect example.
Orlando.
Yes.
Yep. Man, this is so great. Hey, listen, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer here because, listen.
We got to go eat. We got to go eat dinner. I mean, it's 9 o'clock.
I'm going to say it one more time, and I don't care who's watching. Guys, thank you so much, man, for everything. I mean,
Dan,
you guys,
it's a pleasure.
Wait a minute. You guys saved my life, man. I mean, I was a kid in trouble, and I had nowhere else to go, and you guys took me in, and I don't say it very often enough, and I say it to Butch a lot, but, man, my God almighty, you guys saved my life, and I think that was the formula for our guys back then because we had a bunch of troubled guys that you guys took in and gave opportunities to.
Yeah.
I became the 55th player taken in the draft as a junior when I left Miami. That would have never happened anywhere else. I got a $400,000 signing bonus for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and such. And I got the same contract Jerome got.
Right.
And it was all because of what you guys did for me. Coach Wannstedt, especially you too, on what you did for me. What, Coach, how many guys did you do that? How many guys have you done that for in your entire careers, though? I mean, right?
Yeah, that's why we coach.
I think Coach Weiss is like not really seeing the real Sills now because he used to seeing that a-hole that he used to see all the time down at Miami.
Yes,
that he always have to holler at.
And we couldn't block, and yes.
Hey, I'll leave you guys with this last story, and this is how I got my scholarship, Coach. So Jimmy stopped practice, and I remembered the whole team came down, and Jimmy stopped it and said, Sileo, come here. And we were playing against, I was practicing. Obviously, I still had to sit out. And Jimmy goes like this, you've earned your scholarship. And he told me to take it in. There was 35 minutes of football left. And I went in and I was sitting there by myself. And I started crying because I got a scholarship at the #1 university in the country at the time. And I was like, holy cow.
He let you skip practice?
No, he stopped it and sent me in because he rewarded me because I had just gotten my scholarship. He gave me 4 weeks to get my scholarship because you guys didn't have one, and he found one, and then he gave it to me, and it was because of what happened down there at Miami.
No, I know, but sending you in is hard.
I know. It's kind of how he always thought of me.
I'm going to call Jimmy Monday and ask him if that's true.
Ask him. He'll tell you. Ask him. Absolutely. It was one of the greatest things. And he says that Jerome and I are his two best tackles. And I'll give you one other one. Joe Paterno called us salt and pepper too.
Yes.
With Millen and Clark said that.
You're right.
Joe Paterno said that we were the second coming of Millen and Clark.
Yes, I believe that.
Coach, 6 first downs we gave up. 1 penalty was mine for 7. We gave up 130 yards of total offense, 140 yards of total offense, and we lost. You guys became better coaches after that Fiesta Bowl. Do you know that Fiesta Bowl still to this day, 86 games, do you know that thing still to my life right now reminds me of always running through the tape in life?
Yes, good. I like that.
It reminds me to finish the deal. Always will.
And don't throw it to the other team.
Coach, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Hey, I love you guys with all my heart. Thank you.
Love you too. Hey, God bless you.
God bless you too, Coach Wise. Coach, Wannstedt, thank you. Always your guy. Thank you, Coach.
All right. See you.
You got it. That was awesome. I hadn't seen Coach Weiss in a long time. And I'm sorry if it got a little bit sappy for you. But those guys mean a lot to me. And it's true. Joe Paterno did say, he goes, Sileo and Jerome Brown, best 2 defensive tackles I've seen since Millen and Clark, Matt Millen and Bruce Clark, who would win the Lombardi Trophy. Yeah, James, you got to understand what that program did for me. It was one of the greatest times of my life, to say the least. Okay? I was just totally incredible. All that being said, don't forget, BetUS, our good friends. This is our betting house. Make sure, by the way, Jason Cole's going to join us. That'll be at the bottom of the hour as well. They are our betting house, so make sure that you guys team up with our great friends at BetUS. Don't forget the 150% sign-up bonuses up to $2K. Also, your second is $125. Your third also is 125%. Crypto up to $2K% is 200%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year, live wagering on all major games. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Don't forget Jason Cole right around the corner. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
I get scared sometimes.
Of a lot of things.
Joining in.
Decisions.
The dark.
The dark.
But I once heard someone say,
But as I always say,
it's okay to be afraid.
as long as you face the fear.
And keep moving forward.
Wherever you are in life, count on the name trusted in insurance for over 80 years. Independence Blue Cross.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Look at Dick Train here. He's here every day for 4 hours and he writes shit like this. I don't get weirdos like this. This guy will sit around and jerk off to me for 4 hours. And he'll write this stuff for 4 hours. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it because he's a stalker. But what I don't get is that this guy here will sit around and jerk off to me for 4 hours. And then write this stuff. And then here, look at this one. Still's made the NFL much respect, but he was a bust. I know that. Jacoby Dean's career is already better. Kobe Dean is getting more of an opportunity because the general manager won't move off his mistakes because he can't. Anything else, dickhead? Dick Train will jerk off to me for 4 hours. Then tell me I suck for 4 hours. Whoa, I must really suck to this guy because he's here 5 days a week, 4 hours a show, telling me what a dick I am. I mean, I love it in a way. But then again, it could be a little frightening because that's a guy that sits out waiting around your car going, yo, hey, remember me? I'm Dick Train. Oh, yeah, okay, good. I mean, dude, honest to God, this guy pleasures himself to big sells. He lays in his bed going, I can't wait to see Sileo and tell him what he suck as to yes. I mean, seriously, dude, you're mental. You're like a special needs guy. This guy's special needs. I really hate you for 4 hours. You suck, Stills. The Eagles hate you. Everyone hates you. I'm going to write it for 4 hours, 5 days a week, 365 days of the year, you dickhead. I'm here every day to remind you what a sorry-ass player you were and what a shitty host you are. Okay? Yeah. Great. Sure. Okay. Wow. Woo. Oh, man. I do get a dickhead or a dick train. Don't leave. You help the algorithm, whether you're a donkey or a guy that likes to jerk off to me. Okay? It's all good. I mean, I think Ted says how bad he is every day. I mean, seriously, I've never seen a guy who's so fucked up in my life and talk shit on my hero, Jalen Hurts. Who? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts? Is that who you're trying to say, Dick Train? Here. Look at this one. Dan Sileo, you take things too damn far. Really? Oh, what gave that away? What, my wonderful personality and disposition? Seriously, I take things too far? Oh, wow, what an epiphany. Holy shit. You got to dissect this guy's peanut brain when he's done, because this guy here will set the trend. You're trying to mess up Jalen Hurts' image. I am? What image is that? I don't give a shit who he is. Keep it honest, at least. I am keeping it honest. He's a noodle quarterback. You never call out trash Shanahan or John Lynch 3-3 mediocre. John Lynch is an NFL Hall of Fame football player, and he's done a great job at talent evaluating. Hey, dickhead, have you ever heard of talent evaluating on defense? Fred Warner's a third rounder. Your trash bag linebacker, Nakobe Dean, is not in Fred Warner's league, and they were both third rounders. One guy knows what he's doing. The other guy thinks he knows what he's doing. Next. Oh, man. Holy shit. Just keep it fair. Keep what fair? I can't keep it fair. The guy sucks. He's 25th now in accuracy. Nobody thinks he's a good quarterback except you, dickhead, or Dick Train. You take things way too far. Really? No, not me. Hey, not me. No, not me. Hey, Sills, you take shit way too far. Really? Oh, my God. Holy shit. Oh, look at this. Holy cow. My performance just got Mike Cannon to be a new YouTube member. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. You are invited into the Big Sills circle of love here. Kind of thing. Whatever. According to Dick Train. Hey, welcome aboard, Mike. I'm not sure you know what you're in for, but hey, who cares? Yeah, well, get this. Senor says the circle jerk of love. Well, you're in the middle. Oh. Yeah, my performance, Sue. Remember, Sue? Tripod Sills. Jason Cole will save us soon. Believe me, he's right around the corner. Oh, my God. Too easy. Look at this here. Here's another one of these mental health questions. At the end of the day, your guy Kyle Shanahan and Don Lynch will be fired before Sirianni. They suck 3-4 this weekend, fool. Oof. What'd it take? What'd it take? Just you take it way too far. Well, how did you take it? I'm the pitcher, not the catcher there, Ronald. Let's always keep it copacetic here and understanding that. Big Sills is the pitcher, not the catcher. How you doing? Good night. Oh, man. Sills, I'm in Newport Beach. Don't make me go down to the south and force me to wear Jalen Hurts' jersey. Senor, Jalen Hurts' jersey? You know what I would do with Jalen Hurts' jersey? I would use it in the bottom of my cat litter. I would pour the cat litter on it so my cats can go number 2 on it. Okay? That's all that would be worth. You're making it sound like Jalen Hurts' jersey. I mean, what is that? Like the 70th worst selling jersey in the league? Come on now. Green Bay game from 1 month ago is irrelevant, but the Niner game from last year is relevant. Sileo logic. Well, that's the last time you've played the Niners, dickhead. And the Green Bay game was a month ago, and that game, completely different team, because you look worse now than the Green Bay game. You're actually right. You look worse than the Green Bay game. How you doing? Yes. You look worse. Okay? What coaching tree did Sirianni come from? He came from the Big Bird coaching tree. Big Bird. So this team's lucky to be 5-0. And I'm so glad I got off in time today. Come on, Dick Train. Give me some more, man. You're great content today. I'm telling you, Sileo takes everything way too far. He's a mean old mean guy. Sileo, he's just a mean old meanie. I know, kid. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'll send you a picture of myself. Then you can sit on your toilet and do whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy, that dirty literal effect. What? Oh. Jalen Hurts is elite. We'll be 4-2 after we beat the shitty Giants. But Shanahan would lose to Andy Reid again. Trash. You're jealous of the Eagle organization. Why would I be jealous of an organization that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing on defense? Why in the world? You make it sound like you pick all pros every day. I don't think so. And you make fun of John Lynch. Well, John Lynch drafted Hufanga, all pro. Drafted Fred Warner, all pro. Drafted Nick Bosa, all pro. I mean, where's your all pro? Hey? The Kobe Dean. Where's your all pro? Do the Eagles have an all pro guy on defense? No. Okay. Do they have a Pro Bowler on defense? Do they? Slay, right? Hey, Niner, is Slay? Slay? By the way, the one thing I will say to Dick Train, he's right about one thing. Kyle Shanahan has never beaten Andy Reid. I mean, here, we'll bring this up with Jason Cole here. Dick Train's right about one thing. Okay? Eagles have a championship. What about you, Sills? I got 3 of them. One thing I will say. Oh, and by the way, you just had 2 Super Bowl coaches come on here and tell you that Big Sills was a dominant player. What, you don't believe him? They've got 3 rings. No, 4. National title, 3 Super Bowls. What do you have? But I will say this about Dick Train. Kyle Shanahan has never beaten Andy Reid. Look at here. The Chiefs can lose. Okay? Me and my mom are laughing at your comments. They were high Sills. I have 0. Hey, you're right about one thing, A-Track. Shanahan hasn't beaten them. And I'll make this point to you. Niner all day. Okay? Chiefs don't have to win that game. Andy Reid's Andy Reid. Mahomes doesn't need to win that game against the Niners. It's kind of like that bullshit game last year when the Eagles beat the Chiefs. It didn't really matter at the end of the day when it came to adding up titles. The Eagles were nowhere to be seen, and the Chiefs were holding up another Lombardi. So at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. Okay? But it matters for Kyle Shanahan. That dude's got to win, man. You got to beat Andy Reid, dude. You got to show me that you can win. You got to beat that guy. Andy doesn't need that game. Okay? They don't need it. If they lose and go 5-1, so be it. But the Niners have to win it. You got to show up and win that game. You can't just go, well, hey, we lost to Andy again. Bro, you lose Super Bowls, you lose to Andy Reid. And if you're losing to Andy Reid, you're losing to – hey, Niner all day. Let me say this to you, man. If you can't beat Andy Reid now, you ain't beating Andy Reid in February. You're not beating Andy Reid in February. Because Kansas City's there for the ripening. They're ripe for the picking right now. Running game, Kareem Hunt, albeit, got 100 yards last week. I get it. It was awesome. Wide receivers are a little bit suspect. Kelsey's not what he was. Defense. Kansas City's a defensive football team right now. They're a defensive football team, and that runs right into Brock Purdy. Hey, if Brock Purdy wants to get paid $60 million, you better win that game. Those are games that get you paid $60 million. That's the kind of game where you have really good and put your team in a position to win the NFC. You've got to win. Here, look at this guy. Hurts jersey 3 last year. Get this. Think about this. Who in their fucking right mind would want a Jalen Hurts jersey over Josh Allen jersey or a Burrow jersey or a Mahomes jersey or a Micah Parsons jersey or a Justin Jefferson jersey or a Myles Garrett? Why would I want a stiff quarterback? Why would I want to wear his number? I'm trying to get a number in a jersey of somebody that's good, not somebody who's average. Hey, by the way, that's a really great topic. What jersey would you take on your current Eagle team right now? If I had to get a jersey, what jersey would I want right now from the Eagle team? Nick Foles, only dude that got us the damn trophy. Shit. Xander doesn't want anybody on that team. I might take Lane. I think I'd take Lane. BG's good. Yeah. Hey, look at this. How about this, Dan? The Eagles are going to lose by 10 this weekend. Uh-huh. All right. Lane is a good one. BG's good. Anyone else is potential interchangeable. I don't want anyone else. No, Devontae. I don't want AJ because he'll be traded soon. Devontae won't be. He'll be there. I like Landon. I don't want anybody on defense except BG. Maybe Carter. The rest of them, no thank you. Mulata, yep. Hurts, no thank you. I'd rather have, what's his name? Josh Norman? Is that the kicker's name? Or Bob Friedman? What's the kicker's name on your team? I'd rather have that than the Jalen Hurts jersey. The kicker. Howie Roseman and Associates. Dude, can you imagine if JAKIB makes a shirt with that? Holy shit, will they get hammered for that? Oh, yeah, Jake Elliott. Who in the world would know that? BG and Lane, probably only Eagles I'd buy right now. That's Xander. That's probably me too. Brandon Graham and Lane. Yeah. Xander had no idea. Thanks for the info. Those jerseys aren't cheap. Absolutely not, man. Hey, Sue, I got a special deal for you, though, on them jerseys. I don't even think I've told Xander this. I think with the NFL shop and because of my Players Association discount, I think I get 35% off. He's been buying them in at full price. He's probably going, you dick. All he has to do is type in a code that I have for my NFL PA. Either that, it's the NFL PA, or it's either the NFL PA or it's my NFL alumni card right here. Yeah. It's my NFL alumni card. I'm giving away a jersey every week, and this asshole doesn't give me this code. Yeah. See? If you don't have a backbone, you can't hang. You can't handle the truth. All right, before we get Jason Cole's ass in here, hopefully we get him in here soon here. Free Hurts jersey if you make me a sandwich. JAKIB, don't worry. You'll be selling those jerseys in about 2 years at discount. 25% off. Right now, they should be selling at about 15% off. Next year, they'll be 25. Year after that, they'll be half off. Oh, my God. Yeah, I couldn't tell Dave Wannstedt that Jason Cole was coming up because Jason hates Dave. Yeah, Tony Weiss was on, too. Those two guys have 6 Super Bowl rings. And you would say, oh, yeah, all courtesy of Jimmy. And yeah, I told Jason, I go, hey, your favorite Dolphin head coach is coming on. Dave Wannstedt. He goes, yeah, don't tell him I'm coming on. And Jason was down there kicking his ass going, Wannstedt doesn't know shit. That's no Don Shula and Jimmy Johnson. I'm sure those were the headlines down there. By the way, too, oh my God, our good friend, I wonder if Jason was working the same time down there in Miami when, she's getting destroyed. USA Today right now. Oh my God, her name escapes me. She's been on the program so many times. What a friend. She asked a question about a WNBA player, and she covered the Miami. She covered the Miami sports scene too for a while. Oh my God. Let me bring Jason up here now as we get ready for week 7 of the NFL. How you doing, brother?
Brennan. I'm good. Christine Brennan. Yep.
I have, you know what? I saw that just to make a comment on her. I saw some of those ridiculous posts. There hasn't been a woman who has championed women's sports and women's advancement in sports more than that woman has. And she is a true testament to journalism. And for those WNBA players to attack her like that, in my opinion, is absolutely showing you how that league doesn't get what's going on when you have people like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark that could help your team and your league benefit from all this. They don't, you know what's happened, Jace? The WNBA is now being covered like a mainstream sport, and many of the athletes in that sport don't understand that. Okay? Right. Good comes with bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's they're used to being sequestered and kind of off to themselves and having a few people pay attention who, you know, probably cover the teams the way the teams want to be covered. And, you know, that certain journalists parachute in and write a nice story that's, you know, really complimentary. And now that it's a real sport and getting real coverage and growing, which is great. You know, I mean, this is awesome that it's growing. It's taken a long time to get here, but it's growing, right? And, you know, there comes, you know, a certain amount of scrutiny that goes with that. And Christine is a pro. I mean, Christine is as great a pro as there's ever been in this business, man or woman.
Amen.
And she's asking tough questions, and they don't understand why she's asking the question, and they're not used to it. And, you know, it's all growing pains.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at it the same way as like that thing that came out a couple of weeks ago about NFL players not wanting reporters in the locker room anymore. And I kind of looked at it and go, guys, what are you doing? Like, you're trying to cut off the one group that sort of supports you when it comes to CBA negotiations. Because the public doesn't support the players in CBA negotiations, and the owners sure as hell don't do it. Why are you, you know, you're like cutting off your nose to spite your face because you just don't happen to like people in the locker room when you're getting dressed. It's like, you know, come on, guys, grow up a little bit.
Well, here's what's happened to the league, though. Back in the day when Pete Rozelle was the commissioner, Pete Rozelle was a PR man. He was a master at promoting the league. They had just come out 15 years earlier when it came to the merger. It was still like behind baseball back in the day. So back then, I mean, look at it now. The Dallas Cowboys charge media members for doing appearances now. If you're not related with the team, they charge now people to go to practices now during training camp if you want to broadcast from those facilities. And that's not just at one place. I think the NFL has gotten so big now that they try monetizing everything. And at the end of the day, I feel that they think that they don't need the media as much as they once did when, quite frankly, I still think you need a conduit to the fans and to what a narrative is out there, because someone's got to be in the middle between the owners and the players to kind of tell what the truth is, because the players are going to have one opinion. The owners are going to have another opinion. Someone's got to be in the middle in there.
Look, it is never to the detriment of players to have more coverage.
Right. No.
Yeah, it's to the detriment of the teams sometimes to have more coverage, but it's never to the detriment of the players to have more coverage. I mean, it really is not. You know, the teams just as soon like like they take them and spit them out like next guy up kind of thing and just keep the machine rolling along. They don't care who the players are. The players have a brief opportunity. And again, I don't think the players understand strategically how useful the reporters can be for them if they befriend them and put up with a little bit of annoyance. But hey, that's a different thing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
yeah.
it's
It'll solve itself, and there's plenty of media out there for everybody. That's the
I
way
want to
forward.
get your opinion now on Nick Sirianni. I did talk to Coach Weiss and Coach Wannstedt about this, and they were kind of taken by it too. Sirianni turning to the fans and screaming into the fan base of the Philadelphia Eagles at home, and they were starting a chant earlier of "Fire Nick" because of all this. He turns on the fans there. Now look, whatever was said, it's like, here's a guy here. I don't think I've ever seen that where a coach stopped his day and a win to go and scream at the fans like that. And he did it in Kansas City. He did it at the Super Bowl. He did it in Indianapolis. I mean, how do you look at Nick Sirianni? It just comes off very immature for a guy who has to be the most mature guy on the field. Or am I wrong with this?
No, he's very immature. I mean, remember, this is the same guy who remember that famous look he did into the camera when the camera panned past him during that playoff game, and he gave it, he really mugged for the camera. Like, he likes the attention.
Huh.
He likes he feeds off of it, and it energizes him.
So you think he's got a massive ego? Okay.
Yeah,
I you know what? When you're 37 and 19, I guess you can.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good coach. Is he a great coach?
No.
No, he's not. But he's also a young coach. But the thing he's doing is, you might as well just, plaster a dartboard on your head, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're just asking for more and more and more trouble when things are inevitably going to go wrong. I remember the stories about Joe Torre when Joe Torre was a manager in baseball. Again, different sport, but Joe Torre was great at he schmoozed the hell out of people, right?
But to your point, he did learn from St. Louis, Atlanta, and the Met gig because he was Joe Buffoon. He gets the Yankee job, and all those things that he had learned on being Buffoon Joe, he kind of, he hired Stoudemire, then he turned around and got Zim, put him on the bench with him, and those guys went on to win 5 titles. So you're saying that Sirianni's growing.
I look, any coach who's in his third year, he's not a finished product. He's just not. He hasn't enough as a head coach to be bad or good or figure it out. I mean, you just it's sort of like, who was this? Somebody was talking about. It was Bill Simmons. He was going, I don't know if we have a good coach with Gerard Mayo. I'm like, of course he's not a good coach. Of course, he's learning. He's learning situations. He's transitioning from being a player. There's so much that the league doesn't do to train coaches and get them ready to do the actual job. I mean, it's kind of a joke how ill prepared most guys are to be head coaches.
Oh yeah.
And and that's not even talking about the mental or psychological part of it, which Sirianni, to me, doesn't get. Like, you're just asking for more trouble for when things go wrong.
Absolutely. Let me take you to another game this weekend. I didn't realize this until I was preparing for you. Kyle Shanahan's never beaten Andy Reid. Andy Reid doesn't need this game this weekend. Does Kyle Shanahan?
Well, yeah, because they're in a much more desperate situation. I mean, I think number one, three, they got to start to get on a roll. We can go over the 3 losses and say, yeah, they had a really good shot to win 2 of them. They should have won the Rams game. They should have won the Cardinals game. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, all that stuff. They got beat by the Vikings legitimately. But even in the games that they're winning, Like when they won in Seattle 10 days ago, or 9 days ago, whatever it is, like that wasn't pretty. That wasn't. There was the deep pass that got to Metcalf that got wiped out by a penalty. There was the special teams blunder. They got 4 of those this season so far in 6 games. So they give up the punt return for 97 yards. There's just a lot of stuff that they got to tighten up. And this is a game where you got to tighten up, and it does mean a lot. Now, can you survive it if you lose it? Of course you can. But again, we've talked about your margin for error has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And let's just say this. If I'm the 49ers, I don't really want to go to Green Bay or Detroit or have to go back to Minnesota to play them again. But that's probably what it's going to have to be. And if I have to do 2 of those, I mean, come on, man. Like that, you're just making life so hard on yourself.
Absolutely. Who do you think has a bigger impact on their team this weekend? Amari Cooper with the Bills or Devontae Adams with the Jets?
Well, Devontae, because he knows, like he and Rodgers know each other well enough that he could actually be a factor in this game. Cooper is going to take a little bit of time. He's got to get on page with Josh Allen. So Adams really could. The other thing is Buffalo's a better team than the Jets right now. I mean, they can get by without that receiver. They need Amari Cooper in the long run to take pressure off of Keon Coleman and the other young wide receivers. And like Dalton Kincaid has just not come far enough, fast enough. He's a good player, but he has not developed into that mainstay that they were hoping he was going to be, like they wanted him to be like a Kelsey Laporta type. He's not that right now. So to me, Cooper's going to be fine long run. Devontae out short run. He's going to make an impact for that team and take some pressure off of Garrett Wilson. Take some pressure off of Breece Hall.
Do you think Lamar Jackson is the best player in the league right now?
No, I think it's Patrick Mahomes.
Now you're going on reputation with that. And by the way,
who would you take?
And 6-0.
Who would you draft if you had the number 1 overall pick?
Okay, no. I'm asking you who's playing right now after 5 weeks. Who do you think is the best player in the league?
Patrick Mahomes.
You're
not asking me who's the MVP. The MVP is a little bit different.
It is.
I would have Derrick Henry in that race. I would have Lamar Jackson. I'd have Josh Allen in that race. I think he's played some really great football.
Derrick Henry's on pace for 2,000 rushing yards.
Absolutely. I know. I have him on my fantasy team. So, and I got him in the second round. I was so happy to get him. I just think that I think Lamar Jackson's having a great season. I don't like to get into this discussion about MVP this early yet. There's just too much to sort out. And you get locked in on too many guys instead of keeping your mind open to what's really out there and who's really doing a lot. You get too zoned in on 1 or 2 guys. I think if you start discussing it too seriously. But if you're asking me who's the best player in the league, I'm lining up with Patrick Mahomes every single time I possibly can. Let's not kid ourselves.
Houston, Green Bay. Is this the face of the league in the next 5-6 years, or is it still going to be Mahomes? You got Love versus Stroud. These 2 guys here, I mean, CJ Stroud is just – his team has lost 1 game. Love is starting to play a little bit better, starting to come around after his knee. Green Bay starting to look like the team everyone thought they would be, maybe an NFC championship type of football team. Are we looking at what could be like a matchup for the next couple of years like we saw with Brady and Manning?
No, not that level. They're good. They're not that good.
Who's better?
Who's better than what?
Who's better? These 2.
Stroud's a better player right now.
Stroud's a better player than Love. Okay.
Yeah, Stroud's a better player than Love. I just think there's a little bit more to Stroud. He's impressed me with his ability to read the field really quickly. Love came on really strong in the second half last year, but even the first half of last year, you still saw, a lot of inconsistent play. I have not seen any inconsistencies with Stroud at any point in time. Yeah, you see a mistake here or there, but you've never seen a stretch of games where he's just played poorly.
Couple last questions here for you. Last night, Sean Payton gets a win. He becomes the 8th coach to win and beat all 32 football teams as a coach in the NFL. What do you look at him as a Hall of Fame coach?
He's on a pretty good track. I'd have to look at all. I don't know what his overall record is, but I give him a lot of credit. He went into, I mean, that's as dire a situation as you can ever imagine, taking over a team.
The only guy ever to have success in New Orleans was Jim Morris for a small stint. And other than that, there was really nobody else that had any kind of success or any kind of consistency of success. When it came in, it was a reclamation project in Breeze, if you remember. This guy, Dr. Andrews, put them back together. And the big guy in the free agent market that year was Dante Culpepper. And he was kind of the leftovers, and he took them in. And, I mean, rest is history in New Orleans.
Well, absolutely. I mean, but just the number one, you're correct. The Saints were never a consistent winner, other than Jim Mora when they had the Dome Patrol, and they were that defense was so great.
Pat Swilling,
Vaughn Johnson, Ricky,
Ricky Jackson.
I mean, that's as nasty a group of front. That's as nasty a front as you've ever seen.
Yep.
And ownership was never consistent or great. Even Benson wasn't really truly great. When he came in there after that hurricane, after Katrina, and turned that whole program around, when they had nothing, they're working out of hotels, convincing guys to stay there, and then Drew Brees shows up and his arm is still in a sling, and he can't even throw when they signed him.
No, you're dead on. He was Humpty Dumpty putting the pieces back together again.
Literally, his arm was in a sling when he signed that contract.
Remember something, Jason? The Chargers just let him go because
that was a salary cap issue, and they had Philip Rivers.
No, but they didn't even try trading him. They just because he was hurt, they just let him walk.
They couldn't trade him because he was hurt. Plus, they couldn't give him the contract because of the cap.
Yep.
So
they had Rivers.
Nobody was going to take him on the cap number.
Yep.
That they're required. So it was really tricky. And Drew Brees wasn't Drew Brees.
No, he wasn't.
He was a really good quarterback, and you liked him, and you liked some possibilities. He wasn't the guy who was throwing for 5,000 yards in the season.
You know what, though? Marty thought he was. Marty, this is why he got into conversation, and there was a big fallout with Marty and A.J. Smith. A.J. Smith told me, man. I mean, actually, it was Coach.
I'm going to tell you this. That's BS.
He wanted Breeze, and get this, they drafted Rivers.
Wait a sec. Marty fell in love with Philip Rivers at the Senior Bowl. Don't kid yourself. Because I talked to Matt Schaub was on that team. Okay. And Matt Schaub will tell you a funny story about, Marty Schottenheimer starts coaching Philip Rivers, and they fall in love with him. And he goes,
all right, I got it back.
Marty Schottenheimer didn't say a word to me the entire week after he got done falling in love with Philip Rivers. So Marty wants to play both sides of the coin here a little bit. Now, rest in peace, Marty. But but like he was all over Philip Rivers. Then he discovered later on, Drew Brees is really good too. And then he wanted to keep them both around and all that.
Brees had a Pro Bowl on his list from San Diego. He had a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, actually, he played really well, and he didn't want to part with him. But coaches are always greedy. They want to keep every good player they can ever have. Sometimes it just ain't going to work. So I'll just say this: the door prize was Philip Rivers. I'll take that door prize any day. Twist on Sunday.
Absolutely. Okay. Finally, here Tuesday. I'm having Eric Allen on, and I'm going to put this on your ass here. I want to tell Eric Allen why you won't vote for him for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You bring me in with Wannstedt. You're trashing me to Wannstedt before I even come on. You're telling the world.
Nope, I did not.
I know, you did because you would have cut off the interview.
Nope, I did not. I did not bring up Jason Cole was coming in, who wrote all kinds of shitty articles.
That was wise. That was very wise.
Okay, all kinds of shitty articles in the Miami Herald about you. Okay, I did not do that. Okay, but I want to tell Eric Allen why you don't want to vote for him.
I don't know. I don't not want to vote for Eric Allen. There's just other guys. There are other guys who have been better
He's the last year of regular for you, and then he's going to go
understand.
into
It's look. This is rough. I mean, he's got 52 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's a terrific player.
You think Rondé's better than him?
Ronnie put up a boatload of stats.
He had 20 sacks too.
He had 20 sacks. I mean, Rondé's a really terrific player. I don't know that he's better, but with the championship and the way that the defense played overall and his role in that, if you know the Tampa 2 and all the things that they do with corners, like, to me, Rondé Barber is like the perfect illustration of why Don was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Because you take the ball every fifth day and you do yeoman's work every fifth day, and you do that for in Don Sutton's case, you did it for 24 years. And in Ronnie Barber's case, you did it for 15 years. You were so consistent. And I'm not saying Eric Allen wasn't, but just Rondé just did things at a level that just by probably just grains of sand is slightly better than Eric Allen. The championship, to me, championships are a tiebreaker. Like when you get right down to it, I'm not saying that's the only reason. Don't put, it's like the fifth or sixth reason why. It's way down the list. But when guys are this close and this great, like, the point of playing the game is to win the title. Like, you're not playing just to like generate stats. You're there to win. And Rondé did it, and just the slight. Why is Tom Brady better than Peyton Manning?
Championships.
Because titles matter. That titles matter. Dan Marino is the greatest thrower I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody throw a ball better. Aaron Rodgers,
including Brady. Brady's not in his league.
No, he's not. You just want to see an artistic thrower, a guy who could do things that were amazing. But who was a better player? It was Brady. John Elway. John Elway is my favorite quarterback of all time. Brady's better. Right.
No, athletically, he's better, but Brady because of the titles. Absolutely.
Right. That's the point of this is to win. That's why you go out there. And I know it's a team game and all those other things, and this is why it's the fifth or sixth. And that's why it's hard when you get to guys like you're comparing a guy like Eric Allen to a guy like Rondé Barber, or Eric Allen to an Albert Lewis, or an Eric Allen to, all these great players who come through. It's really, really hard. And, in another time and place, maybe Eric Allen would make it.
Let me
it
do
just
one
hasn't
last.
happened.
Let me do one last one on here because I got asked this question, and I was talking with Rex Ryan or texting Rex Ryan the other day, and he watches the show. He sees all the Hall of Fame voters, Jared Bell, yourself, Rick Gosselin, oh my God, Howard Balls. All you guys come on all the time. The guys that I've had for years, and I respect their opinions. He said this about his dad. Now that there's a contributor, do you think that Buddy Ryan has an opportunity at making it in? Because Dick LeBeau didn't get in because he was a great cornerback with the Giants. Dick LeBeau got in because he was a good football player and a phenomenal coordinator as a coach. So do you think there's an opportunity now for
yes, I did. I do. Do I think it's going to happen this year? No. Do I think that there's a place that we should start talking up guys like Buddy Ryan, Bill Arnsparger,
tremendous
Clark Shaughnessy. There's a place for these guys.
Carson.
Yeah, Bud Carson. There's a place for these guys and they need to be discussed and they need to be brought up and they need a thorough vetting.
Ernie
is he going to make the Hall? Yeah, Ernie's up there. Ernie's a little bit more derivative. I think that Buddy was a little bit more original in some of the things he
Remember, he
did.
was also on that coaching staff with Weeb Eubank in Super Bowl III.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was
That
a
won that Super Bowl too.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the story of? I think it was it Rex who told me that story of his interview when he went to work for Bud Grant in the 70s with the Vikings, and
No.
he was the defense coordinator of the Purple People Eaters. So the Jets.
Geez.
He goes to the Jets, the Purple People Eaters, and with the Bears. Like he's on 3 of the greatest defenses of all time. 4
No
if you count
doubt.
four of the greatest defenses if you throw in, Reggie White, Jerome Brown, all those guys. Like, everywhere he went. But this is a classic. So Buddy gets the call to go interview with Bud Grant in Minnesota. He goes and he sits down, and Bud Grant sits there, and he's going through his paper, and he waits 20 minutes. It's like Buddy's sitting there for 20 minutes before Bud Grant asks his first question. And Bud Grant goes, "You got dogs?" and Buddy goes, "Yeah." Half hour goes by. They're just sitting there. Goes, "Like to hunt?" Like Bud Grant's doing all these things. "You like to hunt?" "Yep." That was the interview. Because Bud Grant was testing him to see if he would get nervous.
Yeah.
And Buddy, Buddy's never going to get nervous because
No.
you want to talk about confident men. People. Well, just like I'm here, and if you want to hear from me, fine. If you don't, you can put up with me. Okay, and then there was all the crazy things like the 17 guys he would throw out on the punt team just to be absurd. Just silly stuff that Buddy was great at, and both silly and just genius. So there's a place for guys like that, and they deserve. Co Brocata was a great scout who came up with all these ideas, and that changed the way people do scouting. There's a place for those guys to be discussed. Should be discussed. Are they Hall of Fame worthy? It's a really tough question.
Always a great conversation with you, my friend. Week 7 of the NFL this weekend. Thank you so much, Jace. We'll catch up with you next week.
I was
Thank
better
you,
than
my
Wannstedt,
friend.
wasn't I? I was better than Wannstedt. Tell me I was better than Wannstedt.
Oh no, you were. I mean, Coach didn't say anything. He threw Tony Weiss on. Yeah, no. I mean, I knew I was like this. Nah, I don't think I'm going to bring Jason up. Jason must have talked shit on him in the papers. So I said I'm going to leave that one alone because I love both guys a lot. Jason, I'll catch you next week, brother.
All right, dude. Be good.
You got it. That's my friend Jason Cole. Make sure you check out his work on Yahoo Sports. Hall of Fame voter. Make sure you guys have yourself a sensational weekend. Don't forget to catch us on the pre- and post-game show on Sunday after the Giants and before the Giants game. We'll see you on Monday, 2 to 6. Xander, Big Joe, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the flip side.